Starting cultivation in the world of Naruto. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 101 Red Eyes. The days that followed were not as free as he had imagined, because the country of Shinkang was trying its best to find subjects who could help him with the experiment, so there were ninjas coming to Bai Sui every morning to deliver letters, asking Bai Sui to go and check. Later, Bai Sui simply did not wait for others to call him, and simply teleported to work when it was time. Although his life became busy all of a sudden, the results were really gratifying. In more than a month, Bai Sui had already mastered a blood limit, Red Eyes. Speaking of this red eye, it was found on a civilian. Unlike other physical or ninjutsu blood limits, the unique rhythm of this civilian was concentrated in the eyes. Bai Sui thought of the white eyes at the first time, so after successfully replicating the rhythm of the other party's eyes, in order not to affect the transformation of his own Mangekyo, Bai Sui asked the court to arrange a ninja for him to conduct experiments. After changing the glasses for the ninja, he often used pupil power to infuse it. After a month of saturated infusion, the other party's eyes finally changed. However, it was not the white eyes that Bai Sui had expected, but the red eyes that were said to be able to restrain the white eyes. After some experiments, it was confirmed that this red eye had the ability to see through objects, sense chakra, detect danger, and create chakra images. The reason why this red eye is the nemesis of chakra is precisely because of this ability to create chakra images, which can completely interfere with the judgment of the white eyes, so that the white eyes can only observe the illusions created by the red eyes, but cannot detect the real enemies around them. After recording the rhythm of the red eyes, Bai Sui informed the court of the news and let them decide how to deal with it. In fact, Bai Sui knew that they had obtained relevant information from the ninja who was experimented on, but they were still a little nervous. It was not until today that Bai Sui came to confirm that they felt relieved. However, Bai Sui only informed them of this information and did not participate in the subsequent distribution of benefits. Instead, he asked them to wait until the decision was made and inform him. After all, he was not the patriarch of the Whirlpool clan. This matter was naturally thought of by King Kang, and Bai Sui did not need to worry about it. Perhaps it was because people were in a good mood when they were happy. Bai Sui felt that he was in a particularly good mood today, so he simply gave himself a holiday and did not look at the people who had the quota later today. Anyway, this matter could not be completed in one day. Since it had already achieved results, he might as well take a rest first. After all, he had already lived forever, and there was no need to force himself so hard. So Bai Sui walked on the land of Kang country on his own legs for the first time, looked around, looked at the scenery and the humanities, climbed the mountain and looked at the sea, and took this opportunity to change his mood. The sun slowly sank in the sky, dyeing the whole sky a warm yellow. The sea was sparkling and crystal clear, like a painting inlaid in a golden frame. The afterglow of the setting sun falls on the sea, forming layers of halos and strings of golden ripples, like the fingers of the sea god gently playing with the sea, immersing people in a mysterious and dreamy atmosphere. The sky in the distance is getting darker and darker, with only a golden light on the sea, which is gradually becoming softer, so soft that it makes people feel at ease. As the sun sets, the sea level inadvertently shows its true beauty. As night falls, the deep dark blue spreads in the sky, and the outline of the mountain becomes blurred, leaving only a gradually dissipating shadow on the skyline. The forest becomes dim and solidified between the foothills, with only an occasional starlight crossing the dark sky. Standing on the top of the mountain, you will find that the mountain is no longer as tall and beautiful as it was during the day, but has become heavy and solemn. On such a night, the mountain is no longer a place for people to seek leisure and relaxation. It has become a solemn and mysterious existence, as if building a certain connection between heaven and earth. On such a night, everything is still, whether it is the mountains or the birds, they all stand quietly, as if waiting for something. The mountain after sunset is a mysterious and hazy existence, which makes people immersed in a strange and unspeakable emotion. Early the next morning, Bai Sui waited for the distribution plan of the red eyes in the court. Let's put it this way, in order to pull all the ninjas on the chariot, King Kang and his men finally summoned the families of the 12 ninjas in Kang country. After a series of interest transactions and distributions, someone from each of the 12 families obtained red eyes, but the number was different. This also ensured that while they ate meat, others had soup to drink, avoiding internal divisions caused by uneven distribution. After Bai Sui spent a month giving these people controllable red eyes, the entire Kang country burst out with amazing power. Not only did he find civilians with various bloodline limits for Bai Sui in a short period of time through various means, but he also single-handedly facilitated the first joint military exercise of the ninja country. This is to give Kashiwa Sui a chance to directly see the other party's bloodline ninja and related applications, so as to speed up Kashiwa Sui's copying. After all, there may be doubts in the past, suspecting that it was Kashiwa Sui and Kang Wang who did it, but when the ninjas brought back by each family actually obtained the bloodline limit that they never had, this stimulation made them almost crazy. If it weren't for the constraints of reason, they might have already started to attack the surrounding ninja clans. After all, what do ninjas value most? After all, it's still strength, and the bloodline limit is the fastest way for them to improve their strength. And now they are not just getting the bloodline limit, but have a chance to choose the bloodline limit. Although it is limited by too few samples in hand, it cannot be realized for the time being, but they have seen such a prospect, so they are willing to do their best for it. Among the 12 families in Kangxi country, the most excited one is the Kurama family. They are good at using illusions, and the powerful ones can even manipulate people's 5 senses. With the ability of the red eyes to create chakra images, their illusion ability has been raised to a higher level. The other families also have their own goals. For example, the Inuzuka family, who mainly serve in the patrol team in Kangxi country, are very interested in a unique bloodline limit in the ninja world. The reason why this bloodline limit is special is that it allows tissue cells to roam freely, so that 2 bodies can merge after assimilation, or parasitize each other. If they have the bloodline limit of the double demon attack, the Inuzuka family believes that they can freely merge with their own ninja beasts and obtain some abilities that were difficult for them to achieve before. Chapter 102 Venue Arrangement. Bai Sui fell into busy work again, but he did get a lot of inspiration from it. After all, a ninja from the Ibi family asked Bai Sui if he could install an extra eye behind his head after obtaining the red eye, so that he could see both the front and back directions at the same time. Although Bai Sui refused, this incident also gave Bai Sui an inspiration. At the same time, he also thought of the memories of the village of Danzo in his previous life. One of his arms was full of Sharingan, so that he could use the Forbidden Book of Eyes energy continuously in a short period of time, thus giving himself a few more lives in disguise. In Bai Sui's memory, there's even more, that is, the Thousand Eyes Centipede in Journey to the West. When the clothes are taken off, they are all eyes. Although Bai Sui thinks it looks really ugly, it is indeed very practical. At least when you need to save your life, this may be a means. Not only that, Bai Sui even tried to grow a red eye on his hand. After a simple experiment, he found that the red eye can also absorb pupil power. Although the amount is much smaller than the Sharingan, it shows that it also has a certain room for growth. It was still the same problem. In order to eliminate all factors that might interfere with the evolution of the main Gekyo, Bai Sui did not plan to experiment on himself, but threw the problem to the court. He said that through recent research and experimental comparison, he found that the red eyes could probably be promoted like the Sharingan, such as from 1 Megatama to 2 Megatama. However, because there was no sample, it was not guaranteed and could only be a guess. As a result, those people did not hesitate and directly sent all the ninjas who had obtained the red eyes to Bai Sui. Bai Sui directly added 5 special structures next to their eyes, allowing them to generate spiritual power for nourishment. After all, although Bai Sui had a lot of mana, it was not to the point where he could squander it. So the important officials knew at the first time that Bai Sui had a way to make people spontaneously generate pupil power. Although those people's appetite increased a little, the cost was almost nothing. That night, someone came to Bai Sui. It was not the current King Kang, but the old King Kang who had abdicated. It was probably because King Kang felt that he did not have a good relationship with Bai Sui, so he found his father and wanted to come to Bai Sui to find out the truth. The old King Kang was also very direct. He asked Bai Sui if he had the ability to automatically refine chakra, which made Bai Sui laugh and cry. However, after thinking about it seriously, Bai Sui replied, "Not yet. Let's put it this way. This ability to automatically refine pupil power was deduced by me by referring to Uchiha Madara and other strong men, and then adding so much data. It is not that simple to obtain the ability to automatically refine chakra, but, originally, The old King Kang was a little annoyed by his son, so he came to Bai Sui to ask. To be honest, he himself did not think this was possible. After all, if this was true, wouldn't it be possible to become stronger just by lying down? So after hearing what Bai Sui said before, old King Kang thought it was very normal, and he was still blaming his own son in his heart, thinking that he had already become the ruler of a country but still had such unrealistic fantasies, which was really worrying. As a result, Bai Sui changed the subject, which made the old King Kang a little excited. Is there really a way? Bai Sui was silent for more than a minute, then he slowly shook his head. There is no way, but I have a guess. Although Hashirama Senju and Uchiha Madara are evenly matched every time, in fact, Hashirama Senju is better every time. If that's the case, then why is Hashirama Senju so powerful? Since I can extract a method to automatically condense pupil power from Uchiha Madara's eyes, do you think that Hashirama Senju will have the ability to automatically condense chakra in his body? Anyway, they didn't know the details, and Bai Sui was just talking nonsense. Anyway, it was a loud boast, and they couldn't get verification from Hashirama Senju. So they believed whatever Bai Sui said. After all, Bai Sui did have a method that could automatically generate pupil power, so it was credible. So, the old King Kang left Bai Sui's study with a tangled face. Of course, as a clan leader for his whole life, he still had some shrewdness. Before leaving Taibao Mansion, his face had returned to normal. He didn't even go directly to find his son, but went to pick up his great-grandson from school. Bai Sui regarded the chat with the old King Kang as a kind of relaxation, and then devoted himself to the work of recording the rhythm. In order to make this joint military exercise a success, Kang's Higuo called several surrounding ninja countries with bloodline limits, and even in order to be able to show the ability of bloodline limits, Kang's Higuo prepared several venues, including water surface combat, forest combat, siege and defense battles. Anyway, after the efforts of King Kang and his people, the surrounding 13 ninja countries, including Tuan, He, Zhu, Qi, Kui, Ru, Zhui, Yang, Xian, Si, Qin, and Yu, were all invited. Thanks to the fact that a large number of trees have been engraved in the inner view of Bai Sui, a large number of trees can be directly moved to form a mountain forest for the competition. In order to ensure that the ecology in Kang is not destroyed, many of Bai Sui's trees are directly moved from the fire country, because Bai Sui's inner view has extended to the past. Not only that, the people of Kang also refreshed their understanding of Bai Sui, because it is not just a forest, but also moving mountains to build islands, splitting the earth to open rivers. In just one night, Bai Sui completed all the projects they expected to complete within a month. The most important thing is not the completed projects, because the ninja world still has Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama as models. If the giants who are hundreds of meters tall are doing such operations, it may take a little effort in a day, but it can be done barely. What really makes them unimaginable is that these works are not only completed in a short time, but also completed without anyone noticing. Almost in a blink of an eye, the scenery in front of them has changed drastically. Even people who have been looking at that area don't know what happened. If Bai Sui hadn't asked the court to issue relevant approvals in advance, it would have caused widespread panic. After all, no one can accept that the mountain they have been looking at for a lifetime at their doorstep is filled into the sea nearly 100 miles away in the blink of an eye. And the mountain is not thrown directly onto the sea, but directly moved onto the seabed. So as to avoid unnecessary secondary damage as much as possible, such as small tsunamis or earthquakes. Chapter 103 Joint Military Exercise. Without having to consider the large-scale venue issue, Kang's Higuo's top leaders had more time to set up the venue and prepare for the reception. There were a total of 14 countries in this military exercise. Although in order to avoid being stolen during this period, only a part of the forces were brought out, and most of them were new generations. This was actually one of the reasons why those countries were willing to agree to participate, that is, to let their newcomers know in advance the battles they might encounter. Although the intensity would drop significantly due to the exercise, it would still be able to increase the survival rate of these newcomers. Of course, Bai Sui and the others took into account that because this military exercise was the first time for everyone to hold it, they were actually a little unsure about the intensity of the confrontation. They were afraid that the intensity would be too high, causing the various countries to suffer heavy losses in the exercise, and they were also afraid that the intensity would be too low, causing the exercise to not have a human effect, and become a joke that was a waste of money and labor. Although Kangshiguo took out all of its masters for this purpose as a means of protection on the exercise field, and tried to take the ninjas who were trapped in a dead end away from danger as much as possible, this was because Kangshiguo itself had a limited number of masters, and it was too difficult to do so, so there was no way to guarantee the final result. In the end, Bai Sui stood up and said that he would join the team to protect the ninjas from various countries on the day of the military exercise. At that time, he would directly control the entire exercise venue, yes, the entire venue. He would monitor the situation of the military exercise at all times and try to ensure that everyone was protected by the venue at the moment of life and death. At that time, the ninjas of Kangshiguo only needed to take these people away from the venue. Although everyone was still worried, because they estimated that the number of ninjas participating in the military exercise on the day of the military exercise was probably thousands of people. They felt that it would be difficult for Bai Sui to monitor the entire venue alone, but at the same time they also thought of the almost miraculous moving of mountains and islands, splitting the earth and opening rivers that night. In the end, after discussion, King Kang and his men agreed to Bai Sui's proposal, which actually had their own considerations. Before, they had always wanted to publicize Bai Sui as an immortal, but Bai Sui had always disagreed, so although this matter was still being done secretly, it seemed a little powerless due to the lack of open promotion. If Bai Sui could really do what he said this time, as long as he told this matter, even if Bai Sui himself disagreed, the other 13 countries would help promote it. After all, if you want to monitor thousands of people on the battlefield at the same time and ensure that they are not in any fatal danger, if this can be done, others will believe you even if you say you are not an immortal. In the following time, Bai Sui still repeated his previous work, replicating the corresponding rhythm of those special civilians every day until the time of the military exercise arrived. Soon, the time of the agreed military exercise came, and a total of about 7,000 ninjas from various countries came. This number is not small. After all, they have to consider the problem of their own defense. It is also for this reason that the island countries that have basically eliminated all the outward expansion forces of the water country have sent the largest number of people this time. Although they themselves do not have a great demand in this regard, who made them lack food? You must know that in order to facilitate this military exercise this time, King Country promised that all the ninjas who came to participate in the military exercise would be provided with all the accommodation and meals by King Country during the military exercise. This made those countries very happy and felt that this was an opportunity to get a lot of food for free. Therefore, all the island nations that could come here, except for the necessary garrison forces, sent all the forces that could be sent. They alone gathered nearly 5,000 ninja coalition forces. The Fire Nation that received this news was not panicked. After all, it believed that it had the protection of Oshirama Senju. If these 7,000 people were coming to attack the Fire Nation, although Uchiha Madara would intercept them, as long as Hoshirama Senju pulled the battlefield to the middle of the two armies, the two sides could be separated directly. What they were really worried about were the other countries around them, fearing that this condensed force would give them a surprise attack. In that case, there would be basically no one around who could stop them. Fortunately, this was just an ordinary military exercise, and there was no other intention for the time being. It was not that King Kang and his men had not thought about it, but they were afraid that internal strife would be caused by uneven distribution of benefits. After all, what they said to the countries this time was a military exercise, and no other preparations were made. If they acted on impulse, they were afraid that it would be counterproductive. However, King Kang and his people have also considered that if this military exercise is successful, then it can be held every few years in the future. After forming a certain habit, they can take advantage of the fact that those daimyo countries are relaxed and take them down in one fell swoop. I believe that by then, everyone will have formed a certain tacit understanding after many military exercises, and then they can really screw everyone together. The idea is good, but when it is really organized, Kangshiguo will know how much it costs to hold a military exercise like this. It is just that Kangshiguo cannot afford to hold it once every few years with its own strength, and it is almost enough to hold it once every 10 years. However, they also thought that the reason why they paid so much this time was to attract everyone to participate. If everyone finds that it is indeed beneficial to themselves, they will spontaneously gather together, and they will not have to spend so much financial and human resources. Now everything is ready, and the people of Kangshiguo are left with pure expectations, hoping that Bai Sui can analyze at least one blood limit through this military exercise. As long as anyone is analyzed, they think this is a very profitable activity. After all, such military exercises are costly, but don't forget that the whole country is responsible for the operation, and the benefits of the bloodline limit are only for the 12 families. In this way, they will naturally calculate whether they make a profit or a loss. Even the other 11 families have thought about it. Why not just join the Uzumaki family? After all, if the bloodline limit can be reproduced, the family bloodline will not be important. It is better for everyone to directly merge into one family, and everyone can feel more at ease. Of course, this matter is still only discussed verbally for the time being. After all, no other bloodline limits have been seen. Although the red eyes are still very profitable, it is not worth their efforts. Everything depends on whether Kashiwasa can get the benefits they want from the military exercise of the 14 countries this time. With the speeches of the leaders of the 14 countries, the first joint military exercise of the ninja world officially began. At the very beginning, in order to be able to see the whole scene, Bai Sui flew up to nearly 1,000 meters in the air, then sat in the air, spreading most of his spiritual awareness through his vertical pupils to observe the situation of more than 7,000 people. It's so strange, if I add more chapters, my subscription will drop, so I won't add more chapters anymore. Chapter 104 Military Exercise begins. It was okay at first. After all, in a fierce war, the two sides did not directly get into a fight. After all, there was still a certain initial distance between them. But when the real battle began, Kashiwasa really felt what it meant to be in a hurry. After all, it was not simply to protect others, but also to judge the other party's state. In addition, most of them were newcomers, and many ninjas had never fought life and death with others before. In this case, they often made various unexpected mistakes because of the blankness in their brains, which had to occupy a lot of Kashiwasu's energy. However, this was just the beginning. After all, the troops conducting the exercise on the field were their own troops. Although King Ziguo said that they had taken corresponding protective measures to effectively avoid the danger of life, they still maintained a wait-and-see attitude at that time. Until this moment, when they were surprised to find that the whole venue seemed to have life, and would protect the dying ninja at the most critical moment. It might be that the vines behind the trees suddenly wrapped around them, defending against the opponent's ninjutsu. It might also be that a pit suddenly appeared under their feet, and the ninja in danger fell into it, thus escaping the imminent attack. And they found that the timing of these protections was so precise that there might be variables a moment earlier, and a moment later would lose a life. Although pain was unavoidable in this process, the representatives of each ninja country were ninjas from the Warring States period, and naturally understood that this was already a miraculous operation, and they could not ask for more. In fact, it was not only the participating countries that were nervous, but also the top leaders of Kangxi country, the organizer, were even more nervous. After all, although they also arranged a large number of ninjas as backup, they would not be able to launch rescue in time after discovering the problem due to a series of reasons such as distance, and they could only let Bai Sui do it. But he didn't expect that Bai Sui could actually rely on his own strength to make sure that none of the thousands of people died in the nearly 2-hour fierce battle. So during the rest time, the leaders of various countries told the ninjas participating in the military exercise that they could let go and do whatever they wanted in the future exercises. Bai Sui, who was originally struggling, couldn't sit still when his consciousness saw such a scene. It felt that each family was holding back, and he was already overwhelmed. If he let go, it would be terrible. So, Bai Sui decided not to be bound anymore and used his full strength for the first time in the ninja world. Seeing that the afternoon exercise was about to begin, King Kang and the others were waiting to see Bai Sui flying here, but they didn't expect Bai Sui to sit firmly on the chair and didn't mean to leave. Everyone was very anxious when they saw it, and thought that Bai Sui was going to give up, but they heard Bai Sui's instructions and asked everyone to take good care of his body. Before King Kang and the others could wonder, they saw a flash of light on Bai Sui's body. When the light disappeared, everyone found that a somewhat illusory Bai Sui appeared in front of the chair where Bai Sui was sitting. After that, they saw this illusory Bai Sui, who opened his mouth silently, but conveyed information in everyone's mind. I saw that they said that they should not hold back in the afternoon exercise and prepare to go all out. Then I have to use all my strength, otherwise I may not be able to protect their safety. Okay, we'll talk about it later. Remember to protect my body before I come back. Don't let anyone touch or disturb me. After King Kang and the others repeatedly assured him, Bai Sui really tried to let his soul feel everything in the inner scene. Let his own rhythm change, his own rhythm become weaker, and more harmonious with the entire inner scene. At a certain unknown node, Bai Sui found that he had changed. He was no longer Bai Sui, nor was he a soul, but everything in this inner scene. He was everywhere, but there was no object that was him. At this moment, Bai Sui no longer needed to control his consciousness. He was subconsciously arranging everything in the entire training ground. At the moment when Bai Sui's consciousness disappeared, the ninjas with strong perception in the training ground suddenly felt that everything around them seemed to have changed, but when they deliberately looked for it, there was nothing. Of course, they did not think that this was their illusion. After all, they knew that what could really save lives on the battlefield was often their own feelings. Fortunately, this was a training ground, and after experiencing Bai Sui's magical operation in the morning, everyone just thought that this might be an unknown secret technique like in the morning, which was performed to protect everyone. So in the afternoon exercise, everyone found the difference. Perhaps in order to pursue the optimal solution, Bai Sui now subconsciously did not choose tricks such as digging pits. Unless the two sides were fighting in pure physical skills, otherwise Bai Sui would directly let the ninjutsu disappear before they were about to touch people. Seeing their own ninjutsu disappear out of thin air, both sides of the fight often felt very confused. Generally, the other side would not react to what happened until the Kango ninja took away the ninja who was judged to be dead. This scene also spread as the dead returned to their respective garrisons. At the beginning, when there were only 1 or 2 people, these dead were not sure, wondering if it was because their strength was too low and they did not understand what happened. It was not until later that more and more dead came back that this matter was confirmed. That is why the leaders of various countries were a little restless. After all, such a large-scale and controllable ninjutsu elimination ability is already a power that can directly destroy a country. You know, such a special one, making a ninjutsu disappear at the moment before it comes, is much more terrifying than directly making all ninjutsu within a fixed range invalid. Because there is not only the horror of this ability itself, but also the strong control and observation ability, which makes all the people participating in the exercise feel chilling. However, because the afternoon exercise had not yet ended, the leaders of various countries did not act rashly. After all, they still needed to command this exercise. Although they wanted to let go and let the people below do whatever they wanted, there was no danger to life anyway, and even if the whole army was wiped out in this exercise, there would be no substantial losses. However, considering that this would most likely make other countries think that their combat effectiveness was not good and they were weak and could be bullied, they did not let go in the end, but thought that Kang Zigo and the others could not escape anyway, and it would be the same task after the afternoon exercise was over. So when the exercise was really over, they found that the leaders of the other 13 countries had all come to Kang Zigo's exercise military station. With a glance, everyone knew why they came. Chapter 105, Building Momentum. After completing the afternoon exercise, Bai Sui left immediately. After all, he had no experience this time. Although he had evaluated it before and felt that he could handle it, he realized how tiring it was when he actually operated it. This kind of tiredness is not physical, but mental. You have to know that in the nearly 5 hours of high-intensity battle, Bai Sui was able to do thousands of things at once. Although the number of people left was getting smaller and smaller as time went on, Bai Sui still felt a little confused at that time. How can I say this? According to Bai Sui's self-assessment, he should be able to do a lot of things at once at most now. The actual result is that he did hold up, but because Bai Sui didn't often use the 100 things before, he was suddenly asked to process such a large amount of data, and he was a little overwhelmed for a while. So he was in a hurry and wasted a lot of useless computing power to focus on other useless things. That's why Bai Sui finally felt a little dazed. Bai Sui wanted to go back to rest, and King Kang and the others would naturally not stop him. After all, Bai Sui basically had the word fatigue written on his face now, not to mention the operation in the afternoon, which also shocked them. Now King Kang admires his uncle Bai Sui to the extreme. He not only has knowledge beyond the imagination of the world, but also has miraculous skills. In comparison, although Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama are powerful, so powerful that they are called the god of ninja, their power is visible and tangible, unlike Bai Sui, whose abilities are all subtle and silent, and possess various unexpected abilities. Whether it is the contactless reproduction of blood limit or the current direct control of everything, it is because some of the abilities involve too much interest and cannot be directly announced to the outside world. Otherwise, once announced, the god of ninja and various immortals will not be comparable to Bai Sui in the eyes of King Kang now. But these are all later stories. The current priority is to deal with the heads of various countries who come to explore, and King Kang and his people are well prepared for this. It should be said that after Bai Sui decided to take on this job, they had already thought of a way to deal with it. King Kang did not show up directly, and even the important officials of the court did not show up directly. Instead, he asked a close attendant to act according to the plan that had been made before. After receiving the signal, the attendant began to perform a performance that was 90% true and 10% false, and began to act not far from the leaders of various countries. Hurry up, be quick, our ancestor is exhausted today. Don't look at the ancestor who looks like he is in his 20s, after all, he is already in his 70s. He will still feel tired after protecting so many ninjas from harm today. King Kang and those ministers can't leave, so they let us go to see them off. You have to be smart and don't show your cowardice in front of the ancestor later. The attendant was very excited when he said this. Although there was a little bit of performance in it, it was definitely 90% sincere. After all, when he heard what Bai Sui did today, he immediately felt proud of it. After all, this immortal figure was the elder of his Uzumaki family and the guardian of Kang's Higo. When he walked by, he felt like there was a spring under his heels, light and fluttering. Who are the representatives of each country? Although the attendant did not leave in the same direction as them, these words basically flew into their ears. The kind of excitement that can be lowered but cannot be expressed in words immediately attracted everyone's attention. After that, everyone looked at the person in charge of Wano country. This person was a member of the Hyuga clan. When he saw everyone's gaze, he immediately understood what everyone meant. He immediately opened his Byakugan and looked at the attendant who was talking. What he saw was that a senior attendant was obviously leading a lower rank attendant, carrying a box of snacks and unknown medicine, and walking towards a distant location. After repeatedly checking the two people and confirming that there was nothing unusual, the Hyuga clan nodded and indicated that there was no problem. Before everyone could speak, the person in charge of the Dan country spoke first. I have heard of the person they are talking about. It should be the Taibao of their Kang country. I heard that he is proficient in various powerful ninjutsu. Even our clan leader often comes to discuss with him. This person who is proud of being the head of the clan was obviously a member of the Uchiha clan. Because of the special nature of Dan country, there is only one ninja clan in their country, so compared with other titles, they are more willing to use the title of clan leader. Everyone saw that someone was willing to endorse it, and naturally the credibility increased greatly. Before everyone could continue the discussion, King Kang and his group, who had been secretly observing everyone's performance with red eyes, appeared in time to stop the discussion. Everyone was not from the same country, so some things were naturally not easy to ask directly. After all, if you really want to talk about it, it was someone else's secret, so everyone could only ask indirectly. This time, the 13 countries were united and reasonable. When one person spoke, everyone joined in, and they got a lot of information about Bai Sui from King Kang and his group. However, what they didn't know was that these contents were what King Kang and his group wanted to spread to the outside world. After all, as long as the matter today was spread out, who would dare to send troops to Kang country? Although what they learned from Bai Sui was that they could only control the territory of Kang country for the time being, even so, at least they didn't have to worry about someone being able to hit their homes. At that time, they could actually send all their troops with confidence, leaving only Bai Sui at home. Anyway, all ninjutsu would be ineffective in front of Bai Sui, so who could cause harm? Let's not talk about the distant future. Anyway, after letting 13 countries take the initiative to inquire, it is obvious that these responsible persons temporarily believe the information provided by King Kang and his men. As for the others, the military exercise is not just for today. In the following period of time, Bai Sui's operation will continue to deepen their impression. After all this is true. It is not that they want to fake it. It is just because Bai Sui does not want anyone to deify him. If Bai Sui is willing to cooperate, King Kang and his men would not have to think of this way now and promote Bai Sui in disguise. In the following period of time, Bai Sui basically rested and protected the ninja military exercise. These two things consumed all his energy, and he had no time to care about the little actions of King Kang and his men. After all, protecting the ninja military exercise is only a superficial appearance. What Bai Sui really wants to do is to take this opportunity to observe the blood limit among the more than 7,000 ninjas, and try to find out the mystery of the rhythm in the short time of the military exercise. Chapter 106 Harvest. Apart from the busyness in the first few days, in the subsequent military exercises, Bai Sui gradually became familiar with this kind of distraction and multitasking, so he was no longer so tired and began to try to sort out his gains in the process. As time went by, the joint military exercise that lasted for more than a month finally ended. Bai Sui, who returned to Taibao Mansion, locked himself in the study and rested for 3 full days before he recovered. During this period, no one in Kangshigao dared to disturb him. On the one hand, they were amazed at Bai Sui's strength, and on the other hand, King Kang and his men thought that Bai Sui was studying the blood limit, fearing that rashly disturbing him at this time would disrupt Bai Sui's thinking. In fact, they didn't know that Bai Sui was just resting. It was not until Bai Sui left that King Kang and his men sent people to express their condolences and tried to understand Bai Sui's progress in an indirect way. Ahem, that blood limit, there is a lot of progress, there is already a clue, and it should be possible to conduct physical tests after a while. Don't worry, this kind of thing can't be rushed. After all, if it is wrong, it will directly affect a person's life. Realizing the other party's actual purpose, Bai Sui was also a little embarrassed. After all, he had completely forgotten about this matter in the past few days. Although he had sorted it out during the military exercise, it was better to evade it now. So after sending away the people who came to comfort him, Bai Sui locked himself in the study again. Of course, because Bai Sui's inner view actually included the panoramic view of Kangshigao, as long as Bai Sui was willing, he could go to any place in Kangshigao in an instant. The so-called study was actually just a cover. Not only that, after Bai Sui discovered that he could teleport to any place in his inner view, he even abandoned the secret room under the study. He did not demolish it, but turned it into a fake room to confuse others. The real secret room has been placed by Bai Sui on a cliff in a deep mountain. Anyway, he can reach it in an instant if he wants, so the more hidden the better. In his hidden secret room, Bai Sui made the final summary and induction, sorted out the unique rhythms of various bloodline limits, and finally successfully analyzed several bloodline limits. Among them are the white eyes and corpse veins that Bai Sui paid special attention to, and the rest are swift release, transparent release, dissolve release, drain release, burn release, and boil release. It's just that Bai Sui himself has not done experiments on himself, and he doesn't know the specific effect for the time being, but at least he can use it to get the job done. Of course, with so many bloodline limits, Bai Sui will naturally not take them all out at once. For the time being, he decided to take out one burn release first, and keep the rest as a backup when he's slacking off in the future. In addition, he was afraid that taking out too many at once would scare them. As for why he chose this burn release, Bai Sui himself also considered it. First of all, the basic chakra attribute of this bloodline limit is fire, and then on the basis of the fire attribute chakra, he developed wind to combine it with it. Although the chakra attributes of ninjas are not completely divided by region, they are indeed affected by certain environmental factors. For example, many ninjas who lived in and around the land of fire had chakra attributes of fire, which were relatively compatible with this bloodline limit. After all, Bai Sui had not conducted experiments on himself, so it was not known whether chakras without this attribute could be compatible with this bloodline limit, or whether there would be any abnormalities. Therefore, it was more accurate to choose the attributes that most people had. Another thing is that the ability of this burning escape is to control high temperature, which is extremely powerful in both attack and defense at close range. After another half a month, Bai Sui officially walked out of the study and immediately informed King Kang to summon important officials to prepare for a meeting. King Kang and his men had been waiting for this day for too long, and they had been looking forward to it for a long time, and finally Bai Sui came out. Everyone still gathered in the court, looking at Bai Sui eagerly, fearing that they would hear any bad news from Bai Sui. Although Bai Sui's action of asking King Kang to gather everyone had already revealed a certain meaning, as long as everyone did not hear Bai Sui's positive affirmation, this matter would inevitably still have variables. Everyone, I am fortunate to have fulfilled my mission. After almost 2 months, I finally reproduced a bloodline limit. But I have to make it clear that although I have reproduced this bloodline limit, the specific effect on humans is unknown before the experiment. Bai Sui did not keep the suspense, and directly made the final decision, finalizing the success of this matter. Then may I ask Tebeo, when can the human experiment begin? Is there anything we need to prepare in advance? Someone immediately responded, obviously unable to wait to see this new bloodline limit. Bai Sui said, yes, it is true. You should know that the blood limit I will replicate is the burning release. Unlike the red eyes, which only requires pupil power, this burning release has chakra attribute requirements. He himself has fire attribute chakra and wind attribute chakra. So in order to avoid any unnecessary influence, the first batch of experimenters are required to have only these two attributes. As for the others, we will talk about it after success. Everyone agreed to Bai Sui's request and immediately arranged for people to prepare. What happened next had nothing to do with Bai Sui. He was about to leave. But he didn't want to be kept by King Kang. He said that there would be a clan meeting of the Uzumaki clan in the evening. It was a matter of great importance and he hoped that Bai Sui could participate. Bai Sui nodded, indicating that there was no problem. At the same time, he also felt a little emotional. Since he was named Tebeo, he basically rarely participated in clan meetings. On the one hand, the frequency of the meetings itself was much less, and on the other hand, Bai Sui was not interested. After all, the reason why he participated in the past was entirely because the Uzumaki clan provided Bai Sui with various conveniences at that time. Now that it has changed to the entire Kang Kingdom, Bai Sui is not too concerned about it. After dinner, Bai Sui came to the ancestral hall of the Uzumaki clan. When he saw Bai Sui coming, he immediately stepped forward to lead the way and led Bai Sui to the front row to sit down, waiting for the meeting to begin. Soon, everyone was there. Bai Sui looked around and found that there were not many old faces left. The original elder had resigned from all positions 3 years ago and became old a year later. Then the third elder also left. Bai Sui is no longer the fourth elder, but the second elder. As for the original fifth elder, the current third elder, he can no longer maintain his youthful appearance. He has aged very quickly during this period. As for the newly promoted fourth and fifth elders, Bai Sui basically has no dealings with them. He knows who they are, but he is not very familiar with them. It seems that there are many people who keep books. I like to keep books when I have nothing to do. I just want to remember to come and see them after keeping them for a while. The recent average subscription has dropped from over 700 to 600. I was thinking that I could ask the editor for a recommendation when the average subscription reaches 800, but it seems that there is no chance. Greek letter epsilon equals, Greek letter omicron, Alice. Chapter 107 Merger. As King Kang officially announced the start of the clan meeting, Bai Sui's thoughts were gradually drifting away. In the ancestral hall, King Kang said, "There is only one thing to discuss in this clan meeting, but this matter is extremely important and may even affect the future of our clan, so I hope everyone will treat it with caution in the future." The previous words were all common management talks, and everyone didn't care much, but they didn't expect that what he said today really shocked everyone present. The other 11 families expressed their desire to join the Uzumaki clan and become a ninja clan together. There are naturally pros and cons to this matter, and the risks are not small, so I brought it to the clan meeting today for everyone to discuss. Boom. As soon as these words came out, the whole ancestral hall exploded at once. Everyone started to discuss in a mess. Seeing such a scene, King Kang did not stop it directly, but let everyone vent their surprise. After all, when he first heard it, his heart was also restless for a long time. After all, the Uzumaki clan's original dream was to build a country of their own, and now, with the operation of Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama, it has been easily achieved. After that, all they wanted was to develop the family and expand the country. Now, all 11 ninja clans, big and small, want to join the Uzumaki clan. If this is done, the desire to develop the family will be successful. After all, if it succeeds, in terms of family size, even the Senju clan, which has absorbed many small families, will be much worse than them. By then, relying on their huge population and Kishiwasu's magical blood limit reproduction ability, it is a foregone conclusion that they will cultivate a large number of masters in the future. It was also when thinking of this that King Kang suddenly understood the reason why those families were willing to merge, that is, Kishiwasu's reproduction ability. They should be afraid that Kashiwasu will secretly hide a hand in this regard, and then let the Uzumaki clan develop secretly, and when they have accumulated enough power, they will kick them away or even kill them. After all, no one except one's own family can trust this kind of abnormal ability. Even among one's own family, one must carefully select to avoid leaking the news. Even after considering this point, King Kang found himself shamefully tempted. After all, if his family could really eat alone, it would naturally be the best. But the problem now is that the other party has already made this matter clear, and let King Kang choose whether to accept their vassalage and merger, and everyone become a family, or to turn against each other now. After all, if you refuse now, the meaning behind it is basically equivalent to telling the other party that we don't accept you, and we will destroy you when we become stronger. Then the other party will definitely take advantage of the time when the Uzumaki clan has not yet fully understood the newly acquired bloodline limit, and try to destroy them first. After all, who wants to die when they can live? So King Kang took this issue to the clan meeting and decided to let everyone decide. He thought that although he was the clan leader, he could not decide such a big thing. At this moment, he was as democratic as he wanted. After some discussion, the business in the ancestral hall gradually calmed down. Fortunately, the Uzumaki clan is good at playing with barriers and seals. King Kang also opened the barrier in advance. No matter how loud the noise inside is, it can't be heard outside. Those who can hold a meeting in the ancestral hall today are all real high-level members of the Uzumaki clan. Although the intelligence they obtain varies due to their different responsibilities, these people are trustworthy. Someone asked directly, "Patriarch, why do they want to join us?" There is no life and death event recently. Why do they do this? What benefits can this bring to them? King Kang waved his hand, and two elite members of the Uzumaki clan stood up. When the two of them activated the pupil power, dark red chakra gradually overflowed from their eyes. Not only that, the two also used the ability of the red eyes to create a chakra image to show everyone. King Kang explained the origin and function of this blood limit to everyone present, and directly stated that other families were afraid that they would be killed after their family became powerful. This statement directly silenced everyone present, because they still needed some time to accept the fact that their second elder could replicate the bloodline limit. After all, this matter was previously kept as a top secret, and not many people even in the Uzumaki clan knew about it. As for Bai Sui's saying this, everyone didn't have any other thoughts. After all, in their opinion, Bai Sui was already in his 70s. Even if he lived longer, how long could he live? 1 or 20 years or 30 or 40 years? To put it bluntly, in their opinion, Bai Sui could live for 2 more generations at most. If they only relied on their clan to secretly provide materials, even if King Kang was the ruler of a country, they really didn't have much power to avoid the eyes and ears of other families. So in their opinion, Bai Sui was right to promote this matter in a short period of time. After all, if they really wanted to replicate the bloodline limit, they should have left more for them before Bai Sui died. So the question now is, can they eliminate other families without leaking any news? To be honest, when this matter was brought up by the other 11 families, it was already impossible. After all, even the Uzumaki themselves could think of many ways to spread the news after their own extinction in this short period of time. In fact, the problem now is just one, that is, how to accept those families, how to ensure that there will be no situation where the main family is weak and the side families are strong. After all, when Bai Sui is still alive, they will definitely not make trouble, but once Bai Sui passes away, I am afraid that those families will not be willing to be defeated. At this time, the elder spoke, in this case, why not just take the Uzumaki family, otherwise when they join, do you want them to change their surnames? Once they change their surnames, they will naturally feel dissatisfied, but if they don't change their surnames, how can they join the Uzumaki family? If we simply merge completely and truly establish a new family, there will be no difference between everyone, and there will be no main vein or branch vein. As soon as this was said, many people naturally opposed it. After all, how could someone join their family and end up with their family gone? Some people even thought that it would be better to turn against them. Anyway, with Bai Sui here, they are not afraid of anyone except Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara. So everyone started arguing again, even more fiercely than before. Chapter 108 7 years. Finally, after everyone voted, they agreed to the proposal of the Great Elder and decided to rebuild a new ninja clan. No, not just a ninja clan, but a new concept. In the end, Everyone decided to call it the Chinese clan. The next day, King Kang informed the other families of the news and made an official statement at the subsequent Grand Court meeting. Although Bai Sui did not show it, he was very happy in his heart. After all, they did not just decide to change the clan name, but decided to change it in all aspects. After all, each ninja clan used to have its own set of customs or culture. Now that everyone is together, they might as well overturn them all and unify them. In order to appear fair, they did not even plan to directly follow the customs of the Uzumaki clan, but gathered the 12 families together for joint discussion. So, they simply used the books that Bai Sui had taken out before as a reference, drew nutrition from them, and formulated a new set of cultural customs to show fairness to each family. Even because of this incident, they had originally urged Bai Sui to reproduce the blood limit, but they put it aside, allowing Bai Sui to steal a break from his busy schedule. It was not until a month later that Kang Wang and his team came back to find Bai Sui, and at the same time, they also brought the elites with fire and wind chakras that they had found. When they met today, Bai Sui discovered that Kang Wang and his team had changed. It seemed that it was not just the name, but also the costumes that had been changed. They were the Chinese costumes copied from the book. For a moment, Bai Sui was a little uncomfortable. He felt that he was not in the world of Naruto, but in ancient China. After copying the blood limit for the 5 elites, Bai Sui also recorded the rhythm and chatted with Kang Wang and his team. Only then did he know that after Kang Wang and his team's research for a month, the official language was stipulated to be Chinese, the official etiquette was Chinese, and the official costumes were Chinese costumes. After the whole set, Bai Sui found that although there were some changes in it, it was also more in line with the ninja world. Even so, it gave Bai Sui a different feeling. This feeling was very subtle, with awkwardness, pride, glory, and joy. In short, it made Bai Sui feel satisfied from the bottom of his heart, so much so that a month later, Bai Sui took out another bloodline limit, saying that he had summarized it in a short period of time. The bloodline limit he took out this time was the transparent escape. Although the only ability was invisibility, it didn't seem to have much power, but it also depended on what it was used for. For a family, it might not be very useful, but for a country, any ability has its place. So, the minister of the Ministry of War was very happy to accept this group of bloodline ninjas, and let them serve as spies to obtain intelligence, or to connect with spies from other countries. With this group of ninjas with the ability to be invisible, the acquisition of intelligence has become more covert and convenient, which is of great use to the entire country. Originally, Uchiha Madara would fight with Senju Hashirama every once in a while, but since the last battle, Uchiha Madara has not made any moves. Although Bai Sui and others knew that Uchiha Madara was waiting for the further transformation of his eyes, they tried to avoid any behavior that wasted his pupil power. But outsiders don't know. Everyone suspects that these two are old and their strength has declined greatly, so they try to avoid fighting as much as possible, so as not to let outsiders know their details. Of course, this is just suspicion. No one dares to provoke directly. After all, they also know that even if the strength of two people who are less than 40 years old declines, it is easy to crush them. So the whole ninja world fell into a strange calm. Although small-scale conflicts have never stopped, big battles have never occurred, and this calm has lasted for 7 years. Just when all countries could no longer hold back and wanted to take further action, a piece of news spread throughout the ninja world, that is, Uchiha Madara once again challenged Senju Hashirama to a battle, and Madara also directly stated that this battle will directly determine the future of the ninja world. The reason why Uchiha Madara is so high profile is also very simple, that is, his eyes have finally transformed, from Mangekyo to Samsara Eye. Bai Sui calculated the time. If it was in the original time and space of Naruto, at this point in time, Hashirama Senju should have just established the wood industry. The reason why Bai Sui made this judgment was that 2 new generation members were born in the Chinese clan. They were called Udane Kaharu and Akimachi Tofu. These 2 names made Bai Sui react to who they were. You should know that in the original plot of Naruto, these 2 people were born almost not long before the establishment of the wood industry. According to this calculation, the time point of the establishment of the wood industry in the original plot should be very close now, at most 1 or 2 years. If you're calculated this way, Uchiha Madara's Samsara Eye opened nearly 40 years earlier, but this is normal. After all, in these 7 years, Bai Sui has been replenishing his pupil power so that he can develop his eyes with all his strength. And not only Uchiha Madara, but even his younger brother Uchiha Izuna followed closely and successfully opened the Samsara Eye more than a month after Madara opened his eyes. In fact, the two really opened their eyes for 5 years. The reason why they did not challenge Hashirama Senju at that time was because they found that their eyes were too powerful and their bodies could not bear it. In the following 2 years, he has been recuperating and looking for various ways to solve this problem. In the end, it was Kashiwa Sui's further exploration of bloodline limits in the next 2 years that solved this problem. In the past 7 years, Kashiwa Sui has been accumulating his own knowledge and strength. Not only did he open the Samsara Eye one step ahead of Uchiha Madara, but he also copied all the existing bloodline limits in the ninja world, and found many gods and creatures that remained in the previous spiritual world period, and gained a lot of benefits from them. Because of the difference in the systems of the two sides and the fact that Kashiwa Sui's own life level has been promoted, the Samsara Eye did not put any burden on Kashiwa Sui. Instead, it became a converter for Kashiwa Sui to convert realm and energy into combat power. After all, what Kashiwa Sui lacks now is not the law but the art. This Samsara Eye is not only convenient to use but also powerful. Not only that, perhaps because the Samsara Eye can see the soul, it can actually help Kashiwa Sui to perfect the rhythmic burning work in his inner scene. Yes, after 5 years of precipitation, Kashiwa Sui finally burned the first complete human, although it was only a soul. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 109 7 years. Afterwards, Bai Sui discovered that the soul he had copied was like a file saved by Bai Sui, and even if it dissipated, Bai Sui could still pinch it out again. However, only one soul could be saved at the same time, and Bai Sui also discovered that the soul was the same as a person, and its rhythm was changing subtly every moment, so Bai Sui's burning was really like saving a file, and could only save the state at the moment of burning, unless Bai Sui updated its rhythm, that is, saving a new file. That is, after burning this first soul, Bai Sui felt as if he had suddenly broken through the window paper, and not only souls but also people could be burned. At most, because the complexity of individual rhythms is different, the difficulty of burning is different, and the time required is also different. Take Kangxigo as an example. Among them, the easiest to burn are civilian children. The younger the age, the easier it is to burn. Babies are the easiest. Although it is not possible to burn in seconds for the time being, it is almost there. After that, due to their respective growth environments, their own abilities, etc., the rhythm will become more and more complicated. Take Uchiha Madara as an example. Before obtaining the Samsara Eye, Kashiwa Sui spent several days to finally record it. But after obtaining the Samsara Eye, Kashiwa Sui found that the gorgeousness of its rhythm was greatly improved. Kashiwa Sui might not be able to record it without a year or two. In addition, after obtaining the Samsara Eye, Uchiha Madara's strength changes every day, and his rhythm is also changing a lot every moment, which leads to Kashiwa Sui's in fact no way to record Uchiha Madara after obtaining the Samsara Eye. However, this is not a problem for Kashiwa Sui. After all, even civilians could not record it before. I believe that there will be a way to solve this problem sooner or later. Since Kashiwa Sui can already record the whole person, the research on blood limit has become more and more in-depth. Not only has he tried to integrate all the blood limits known in the ninja world into himself, but he has also reversed various blood limits that have become extinct or have not yet appeared. With Kashiwa Sui's unremitting efforts, he finally successfully accommodated a total of 27 bloodline limits in his body. Since these 27 bloodline limits themselves contain 7 types of changes in nature, fire, wind, earth, water, thunder, yin, and yang, after Kashiwa Sui successfully placed them in his body through the rhythm of adjusting, a magical fusion occurred. Perhaps because he reached certain specific conditions, Kashiwa Sui clearly felt the changes in his body, which produced a change from the inside out. It should not be said that it was a change, but a reorganization. Because Kashiwa Sui himself is already a terrestrial immortal, his life level is 1 level higher than that of mortals, so he did not experience the changes that other people in the original work experienced when they obtained the bloodline net, but suddenly found that he had a changed form. How to say this change? It's like your hand. When it's open, it's a palm, and when it's clenched, it's a fist. Fists and palms are two different forms, but it's still a hand. Bai Sui felt that he could change into a form with horns on his head like the Otsutsuki, or he could maintain his current form. The choice was entirely up to him, and it was as simple as making a fist. Of course. Just like there is a difference between a palm and a fist, the two forms are naturally different. At least for Bai Sui now, in the Otsutsuki form, Bai Sui's combat effectiveness has to be improved by several levels. There is no way, who told Bai Sui that he didn't know any guarding skills, resulting in less than 10% of his own strength. However, Bai Sui has now discovered one thing, that is, the life level of the Earth Immortal is not lower than that of the Otsutsuki form. Although he can't exert much strength because of him, everyone is at the same level. At the same time, Bai Sui also felt the wedge of the Otsutsuki clan. The people of the Otsutsuki clan can copy themselves and digitize themselves, and then insert them into other people's bodies. A black diamond mark will appear on the palm of the person who is inserted as a sign. This mark is the wedge. In fact, the wedge is the body data of the Otsutsuki himself. The person who is inserted can use the ability of the wedge, and the people of the Otsutsuki clan can directly see the degree of thawing of the wedge on the device. After Kashiwasa's perception, he found that this so-called digitization of oneself is actually a disguised ability to replicate one's own rhythm. The so-called ability to see the degree of thawing of the wedge is actually to see the degree of change in the rhythm. It may be because of the difference between the two systems. Although both are naturally obtained in this realm, Kashiwasa's rhythm sees more and is not limited to himself, while the wedge is limited to copying himself. Of course, this may also be because they don't care about other lives besides themselves. As a result, Kashiwasu not only obtained the samsara eye and the bloodline net, but also obtained the ability to create other samsara eyes and bloodline nets. Although the samsara eye and bloodline net that Bai Sui directly gave to others lacked their respective special abilities and were castrated versions, fortunately, they could be mass-produced. As for those who wanted the normal version, judging from the examples of Uchiha Madara and Uchiha Izuna, it would take 5 to 6 years at most to train one. And don't forget that it's not limited to just one person at a time. Although it's necessary to consider the consumption of mana to infuse pupil power, too many can't be trained at the same time, but even so, there are still 60 years before a new batch of Otsutsuki clans come to the ninja world. How many qualified combat forces will be trained during this period? So Bai Sui returned to Kangzihagawa from his secret room. Oh, by the way, in the silent development over the years, Bai Sui has successfully incorporated nearly 1/10 of the surface of the entire ninja world into his inner vision. Although it has not yet reached the permanent 18-fold mana increase effect that Bai Sui himself envisioned, it is actually much worse. At least for now, the things in Bai Sui's inner vision are enough to support Bai Sui's 18-fold increase in fighting for a month. So far, Kashiwasu couldn't imagine how he could fight at such a high intensity for a month, so it could be considered permanent. The reason why Kashiwasu had to go back to Kang country first was because he wanted to replicate the more than 20 bloodline limits for Uchiha Madara and Uchiha Izuna. The reason why he had to do this first was because Kashiwasu felt that his own pupil technique was being nurtured in his eyes. During this waiting period, Kashiwasu decided to find something to do first, and at the same time he wanted to study the issue of the samsara eye. After all, the golden wheel samsara explosion was pretty cool. Chapter 110 Metamorphosis. After Uchiha Madara and Uchiha Izuna opened the samsara eye, they found that their bodies could not bear it, so Izuna's wife Uchiha Hili temporarily stopped the infusion of pupil power. They wanted to wait until they found a practical solution before opening the samsara eye. Now that Kashiwasu has found a solution, Uchiha Hili can continue to prepare to open the eyes. Soon, they received a message from Kashiwasu, so the three of them came together. Kashiwasu directly stated that he had found a solution to their weak bodies. Not only that, he also said that his move would give the three people far more power than they have now, and then he switched to the Otsutsuki form. Then they found that Kashiwasu's appearance had changed drastically, with 2 slightly protruding bone horns on his head, a white robe all over his body, and 9 floating magatama behind him. At first glance, they thought of the 6-path sage in the murals or shrines before. The two were dressed very similarly. Not only that, they also noticed Kashiwasu's pair of samsara eyes. I have found a solution. It's because the Rinnegan belongs to the Kekai network. You know, Even the Kekkei Genkai will have Kekkei disease, not to mention the Kekkei network, which is even more advanced than the Kekkei elimination. And if you want to solve the damage caused by the Kekkei network to the body, then the simplest way is to make the body become the Kekkei network, which is my current state. What do you think? Uchiha Madara immediately stated, I wonder what the senior thinks about this ninja world. My Uchiha clan is willing to obey the senior's orders. Kashiwa-san shook his head. I don't have any ideas about the ninja world itself. On the contrary, I want to ask you a question. Do you know why I have been improving your strength? This is because of my ambition? Is it because I don't want to bow to the daimyo and want the ninja to stand at the top of the ninja world? Madara was a little unsure. Bai Sui shook his head. No, not really. I don't care who occupies the ninja world. Or do you think that with my strength, whoever occupies the ninja world can do anything to me? The real reason is that the entire ninja world has actually been shrouded in the danger of being destroyed. Do you still remember the Otsutsuki Kagui I mentioned before? Izuna nodded. Remember, senior, that is the existence that brought catastrophe to the ninja world. Bai Sui continued. Yes, but do you know? What is the status of Otsutsuki Kagui in the entire Otsutsuki clan? Take the Hyuga clan that you all know as an analogy. Then Otsutsuki Kagui is like a member of the Hyuga branch family, and above her there is the main family. Just one Otsutsuki Kagui has the ability to destroy the entire ninja world at any time. What do you think of the strength of the entire Otsutsuki clan? According to what I have learned from the creatures that I have come into contact with Kagui Otsutsuki before, the Otsutsuki clan will go back to hands in the chakra fruit every 1,000 years, and according to their calculations, the 1,000 years have come, which means that the Otsutsuki clan may find something unusual at any time, and they will send people to check at any time. They sent 2 members of the Otsutsuki clan before, but there was no news after 1,000 years. What kind of force do you think the Otsutsuki clan will send if they send people to investigate again? Senior. Are you training my 2 brothers because you are worried about the arrival of the Otsutsuki clan? Please rest assured that the ninja world will always belong to us, no matter whether it is the Otsutsuki clan or any other race. Don't think of snatching it from us. Uchiha Madara said this, showing his strong pride. Bai Sui shook his head and said nothing more, but began to copy the blood limit for Uchiha Madara. When all the 20 kinds of bloodline limits were copied into Madara's body, his body began to collapse, so Kashiwasu forced it to condense according to his previous experience. But at this moment, something was wrong. You must know that Kashiwasu's mana contains life energy, so the mana that Kashiwasu has accumulated can be used to feed back to the body when needed. Although chakra is also composed of life energy, under the ninja system, chakra is extracted as it is used, so when the body needs energy, they do not have extra chakra to feed back. So Uchiha Madara visibly shrank. Kashiwasu was about to use mana to directly replenish the energy needed for the other party's transformation, but suddenly remembered one thing, that is, Madara still has the summoning beast Nine-Tail, so he asked Madara to summon it quickly. Madara naturally also realized that his own state was not right. When he heard Kashiwasu mention the Nine-Tail, he immediately understood what Kashiwasu meant, that is, he wanted to borrow the Nine-Tail's chakra to help him complete his transformation. The Nine-Tails had just been summoned, and before he could figure out what was going on, he suddenly found himself fixed, unable to move and shrinking rapidly. On the other hand, Kashiwasu directly tried to absorb the Nine-Tails chakra in the Otsutsuki mode, and then separated a small part of the absorbed chakra and sent it to Uchiha Madara for his transformation. In the past, Kashiwasu had used mana to simulate chakra, but this was the first time that Kashiwasu had really come into contact with chakra. Then, Kashiwasu found that he hated this energy with his whole body and soul, and every cell was rejecting chakra. Since he was so repulsive, Kashiwasu naturally would not disobey, so he slowed down the speed of absorbing chakra from the Nine-Tails and increased the proportion of chakra transmitted to Madara. Kashiwasu only intercepted a small part of the chakra for his own research. Of course, for safety reasons, Kashiwasu used mana to wrap up this part of the chakra to isolate it from himself. After all, according to the case, chakra should be just energy, and it should not cause such strong resistance. Now this kind of performance is equivalent to writing the 3 words "there is a problem" directly in front of Bai Sui, and Bai Sui naturally has to study it carefully. Even because of this, Bai Sui directly gave up the idea of cultivating a large number of Otsutsuki level strongmen in a short period of time. After all, Who can be sure what kind of hidden dangers are hidden behind this abnormality? So the nine-tailed fox found that its shrinking speed was slowing down, and this change stopped only when it became 80% of its original size. Because it was just the transformation itself, the chakra consumed was not too much, only 20% of the chakra of the complete nine-tailed fox. According to the consumption of each, there are a total of 9 tailed beasts, which is enough to transform into 6 or 7 more people. Chapter 111 Invitation to Battle. After completing his transformation, Uchiha Madara has been familiarizing himself with his own abilities. As a result, he discovered a serious problem, that is, he has gained a lot of powerful abilities, but he found that he could not use them. The reason is very simple, that is, his own chakra is not enough. After all, the 20% of the chakra of the 9 tails was used to transform Madara's body, and the total amount of his own chakra has not increased much, which is about doubled compared to before. Although this amount of chakra is already the best in the ninja world, compared with the consumption of those powerful abilities, some are not enough to release. Bai Sui thought about it and decided that it was the same. After all, according to the original plot of Naruto, Uchiha Madara during the Fourth War was either in the infinite chakra state of the impure world reincarnation or the 10 tails Jinchuriki. In short, his chakra was basically in an inexhaustible state. At the same time, Madara also discovered the problem inside, that is, why Bai Sui only extracted enough chakra for his transformation, but did not give him more. Madara thought about it and asked directly. After all, if there is any problem, it is better to communicate directly in person. Bai Sui then told him what he had discovered. Just now when I absorbed the 9 tails chakra, I suddenly found something suspicious. I feel that there may be some unknown problems in this chakra. It's just that you were halfway through the transformation and couldn't stop, so I didn't stop. Instead, I only injected you with chakra that was just enough for your transformation. I just wanted to tell you about this. As for how to choose, it's up to you. After saying that, Bai Sui looked at Izuna. That's why I am not going to help you transform for the time being. I want to study the chakra first to see if I can find out what the problem is. Hearing this, Madara immediately agreed. That's right. Izuna, wait a minute, let's study the abnormality first. If there is really no problem, we will help you transform. Izuna wanted to say something else, but seeing the look on his brother's face, he swallowed the words back. Although Madara didn't have enough chakra to use those extremely powerful abilities, he was confident that he could beat Hashirama Senju with these chakras. Because after he completed the acquisition of the bloodline network, he knew about the ability of the truth-seeking jade, and at the same time, he unconsciously condensed 5 black truth-seeking jades. After that, Madara took Izuna and Shiri away from Kashiwasa's Taibao mansion, but Kashiwasa was not idle, but directly sent someone to notify King Kang to come over. To be honest, this is the first time that King Kang has been called to Taibao mansion, and Uchiha Madara and the others had just left. King Kang thought something big had happened, so he hurried over by himself. When he came to Kashiwasa's study, he found that Kashiwasa was practicing calligraphy at the desk without any panic, and he also found that Kashiwasa was different. Feeling that King Kang was coming, Kashiwasa finished writing the word on his hand, and then found the other party's slightly surprised expression. Kashiwasa then remembered that he was still in the form of Otsutsuki, so he transformed it and returned to his earthly immortal appearance. Just now, King Kang was still a little confused. Not knowing why Kashiwasa dressed up as the six-path sage in the portrait, and dressed a little unlike him. Bai Sui pointed to the chair in front of him and motioned for him to sit down. Come, sit down and talk. What I'm going to talk about today is a big thing, and it's very important. You have to listen carefully. I think you should have tried to learn about the history of the ninja world from the God of Death. Although there are many mistakes and deliberate slander in it, the overall introduction is correct. I think you have also learned about Kaguya Otsutsuki, Hamura Otsutsuki and Higurama Otsutsuki. Did you find that the way I look just now is very similar to the ones in the portraits? Yes, it's just what you think. You can understand that I have acquired abilities similar to theirs, and what I want to talk about today is exactly this matter. What? King Kang reacted immediately. Okay, please go ahead, Bai Sui said. I just helped Uchiha Madara to acquire the same ability, and I think you should be able to think of what this means. The entire ninja world is about to change. I hope you can prepare early, so as not to be unprepared in a hurry. King Kang was a little confused. and he wondered if he had heard something wrong. You said you helped Uchiha Madara to gain this ability. King Kang was really confused. After all, in his opinion, although it was a bit sudden for Bai Sui to become an immortal, he was not without preparation. But what is Bai Sui talking about now? He actually said that he could make others become that kind of existence. Suddenly, King Kang seemed to have figured it all out at once. Can you choose someone in the Hua clan to pass on this power? I know it's a bit abrupt to ask this, but I still want to fight for it. Haha, it's okay. Bai Sui laughed. You don't have to feel so restrained. Don't forget that I am still the second elder of the Uzumaki clan. I was originally going to find a pretty good seedling in the Uzumaki clan to help him gain this ability. However, when I was helping Uchiha Band to transform, I suddenly found that there were some problems. If this problem is not solved, I am afraid there will be other troubles, so you don't have to worry. After I solve this problem, I will find you at that time. Hearing this, King Kang bowed to Bai Sui to show his gratitude to Bai Sui. Bai Sui helped him up and asked him to go back and prepare. After that, it was heard that after returning, Uchiha Madara directly issued a letter of challenge to Senju Hashirama, and agreed to have a decisive battle to determine the future of the ninja world in 3 months. Not only that, Kashiwa Uchiha Madara also sent invitations to other countries, inviting them to come and watch the battle. Whether it was the daimyo forces or the ninja forces, there was no exception. When everyone saw Uchiha Madara's big move, they naturally realized the meaning behind it. The two of them would definitely decide a winner in this battle, and according to Uchiha Madara's reaction, everyone must have a major breakthrough, otherwise there would not be such great confidence. Among them, those ninja forces, although some of them were worried about the future, they still had a feeling of raising their eyebrows, while those daimyo forces were different. Basically all of them were worried. So for a while, the daimyo of the Fire Country received countless letters from daimyo. And they all asked him about the status of Senju Hashirama, wanting to get a comfort from him, but they didn't know that the current daimyo of the Fire Country was also uneasy because Senju Hashirama refused to meet him. Chapter 112 Kaleidoscope? The battle side between the two this time was different from the previous ones. It was specially built. By the way, since this place has been recorded into the interior by Bai Sui, the changes here were made by Bai Sui. The reason for planning and building the site is that the people who came to watch the battle this time are special. It can be said that they almost include the leaders of all forces in the entire ninja world. Although there are still a few countries that choose not to come, they are ready to endure Uchiha Madara's revenge. Uchiha Madara is ready to take this opportunity to show his power directly in front of all countries, and take this opportunity to unify the entire ninja world in one fell swoop, and then gather the power of the entire ninja world to prepare to fight against the Otsutsuki clan mentioned by Bai Sui. In this case, we can't let the politicians of those countries die here directly. After all, it will increase the difficulty of integration later. Although it seems similar to Uchiha Madara, it will indeed cause the death of many innocent people. So they deliberately chose such a place under the control of Kashiwa Sui, thinking that if Uchiha Madara went crazy and couldn't stop, they could still rely on Kashiwa Sui to protect the audience. In order to take care of the many ordinary people in the audience, Kashiwa Sui even arranged a telescope every 100 meters, so that the people of the Uchiha clan could show the fighting figure of their clan leader to those people. When they knew that this arrangement was to allow people to better admire the majestic figure of their clan leader, they all put in their best efforts, fearing that the audience would not see it clearly. 3 months passed in a flash, and everyone came to watch the battle on time, except for a few countries that thought that Uchiha Madara could not do anything to him. Madara also remembered these ignorant guys in his heart and prepared to have a good chat with them after the war. But these people are not a big problem after all, and it is not worth Uchiha Madara's energy today. After all, he still has a lot of things to do today, and they are not worth mentioning in comparison. It was noon at this time, the sun in the sky had risen to the best point, and Madara and Hashirama had already arrived in the middle of the venue. Although for safety reasons, the stand built by Bai Sui was more than 10 miles away from the battlefield, but with a broadcast of the telescope technique, everyone could see the real-time picture. Hashirama, I have 2 things to do today. The first is to let you know that you are wrong. As for the second, let's talk about it after I defeat you. Facing his childhood friend, Madara showed a proud look at this time. Madara, although I don't know what you are going to do that day, I will never allow anyone to destroy the peace that has come with great difficulty. For this, I am willing to bet everything I have, Senju Hashirama opened his eyes that were previously closed, and there seemed to be light flowing in them. What? Humph. It seems that you have also encountered a lot, but it doesn't matter. I will let you know what real power is. Madara was slightly stunned when he saw Hashirama open his eyes, but he quickly reacted. The reason for this is that at this time, Senju Hashirama's eyes are not ordinary eyes, but obviously a pair of kaleidoscopes. It just doesn't look like it was made by Kashiwasu. And it can't be sent and received freely. It's obviously transplanted by other means. This reminds Uchiha Madara of a person, the guy who tried to attack his brother and tampered with the inscription in the Uchiha shrine. After all, the eyes of the main Gekyo are not even preserved in the Uchiha clan. According to their analysis, the only one who can be found now is Kashiwasu, who has been instigating internal strife between the two clans for thousands of years. Think of the words that were tampered with on the inscription. When the two poles are reunited, you can get the power of all things. Perhaps this is exactly his intention, to let the Uchiha clan open the main Gekyo, and then transplant it to the Senju clan, so as to obtain the power of all things. Although he doesn't know how this is done, it is very likely that this is the intention of that person. Although Madara is a little curious about what the power of the Senra is, and doesn't know how much strength it can enhance Hashirama's Senju, but now he is confident that when he uses his Samsara Eye, nothing can stop him, except Kashiwasu. Although Madara was wearing a white robe and holding a staff, and even had two horns on his head, he was not using the Samsara Eye at the moment, so although Hashirama Senju felt strange about Madara's outfit, it was just strange. However, Black Zetsu, who was hiding far away, was scared to death when he saw Madara's current appearance. Oh, by the way, in fact, Black Zetsu had been under Kashiwasu's surveillance for a long time before. After all, the expansion speed of Kashiwasu's internal scene was not slow. Black Zetsu within its range was as conspicuous as lice on a bald head. It's just that Kashiwasu has not dealt with him for the time being. After all, in Kashiwasu's opinion, what Black Zetsu is doing now is conducive to enhancing the combat power of the ninja world. In fact, Kashiwasu has also tried to find the Otsutsuki Aishiki, or the Jijin who is parasitized by him, in the ninja world, but perhaps they are not living in the land of fire and its surrounding areas at this time, so they have not been discovered by Kashiwasu for the time being. However, when Kashiwasu included the entire ninja world in her inner vision, she would definitely be able to find him, and at that time she would be able to obtain a lot of information about the Otsutsuki clan from him. In fact, although Kaguya Otsutsuki is a guardian, she should know a lot of useful information, but Kashiwasu is afraid that the other party has eaten a fruit after all, and her strength is really hard to say. After all, the other party's performance in the original Naruto is really too childish. Even if the other party is really not good at fighting, it is reasonable that he would not make such a big mistake, not to mention that she actually relied on her precise sneak attack to get rid of the fate of being sacrificed from Aishiki Otsutsuki. In Kashiwasu's view, this may be because Kaguya Otsutsuki discovered the strength of Naruto and Sasuke, and knew that her son was still alive, so she wanted to push them to the front and become the main force against the Otsutsuki clan. That's why Kaguya Otsutsuki first showed that she was under the opponent's reverse color seduction technique, and then was half-heartedly sealed by the opponent. After all, she is an immortal being, so the seal is sealed. For her, it just takes some time. If she can escape the pursuit of the Otsutsuki clan, wouldn't it be a great thing? Even if she can take this opportunity to make the Otsutsuki clan misunderstand that the Otsutsuki Aishiki was killed by the people in the ninja world, and she was actually forced to use the corpse of Otsutsuki Aishiki to feed the sacred tree in order to complete the task, and then she ate the fruit to prevent it from falling into the hands of the natives of this planet, and then she was sealed for thousands of years. Maybe she can even clear her responsibility. At that time, even if she is not punished at all, at least she will not be considered a traitor. Chapter 113 Demon King Posun. In this battle, Hashirama Senju used all his strength and was unwilling to give up any advantage, even a little advantage in terrain. Hashirama Senju clapped his hands and directly stimulated a much larger chakra in his body. Immediately, dirt roads appeared on the ground, and countless wooden dragons were dancing below. Uchiha Madara crossed his arms and watched Hashirama prepare. The black tin staff beside him floated in the air. Seeing a thick branch extending from the ground and whipping Uchiha Madara, the floating tin staff beside him immediately met it, and collapsed inward during the flight, and finally turned into a black sphere and hit the branch. At the first contact, the black sphere, which was only the size of a fist, was like an ant trying to shake a tree compared to the branch with a diameter of 1 meter, but the result was unexpected. All the places that came into contact with a black sphere were annihilated in an instant. In just a breath of time, the entire branch that was exposed to the ground, starting from the place where it came into contact with the Seeking Truth Jade, was completely annihilated. In other words, the control of the Seeking Truth Jade was limited to about 70 meters, otherwise Uchiha Madara would most likely directly control the Seeking Truth Jade and directly destroy all the wood released by Senju Hashirama. There was no other intention, just to make Hashirama realize the difference in strength between the two sides. After that, Senju Hashirama tried the Tree World Descent and the Flower Tree World Descent, but they were all annihilated by the Seeking Truth Jade next to Uchiha Madara. Originally, Hashirama wanted to rely on the tiny pollen in the Flower Tree World Descent to break Uchiha Madara's black ball, but he didn't expect that the Seeking Truth Jade could be deformed at will. Madara turned it into a sphere that wrapped around himself, just to show Senju Hashirama that the other party had no means to break his defense. Seeing this, Hashirama Senju also knew the difficulty. After all, judging from the current situation, the black ball is immune to all physical attacks. Although other types of attacks have not been tried, Hashirama is not sure. Senju would release True Thousand Hands. Hashirama Senju directly used his strongest ability at present, trying to fight Madara head-on. So the audience saw the huge Guanyin statue that was more than 600 meters high, and the thousands of palms behind it also came into everyone's eyes. Compared with Madara at this moment, it was really as small as dust, and the audience could not find it in the picture at all. However, this True Thousand Hands is not the final form. Hashirama Senju activated the transplanted pair of Mangekyo. Although it cannot be closed because of the transplant, it consumes a lot of chakra, but the person who transplanted it is Hashirama Senju, so he is not afraid of his consumption. Although the black guy who gave him the eyes had bad intentions, it is indeed a quick way to enhance his strength. After all, Hashirama has fought with Uchiha Madara many times, and he knows the terribleness of these eyes. Powerful armor, Susanoo, as Hashirama Senju roared, all the pupil power in his eyes boiled at this moment, and then he almost emptied all his chakra to cooperate with the powerful armor of this huge Guanyin. At this moment, Hashirama Senju is no longer as honest as before, but his face was full of ferocity. And the blue veins next to his eyes were exposed, and it seemed that those blood vessels could not bear it and burst. The compassionate Guanyin statue, which was originally sitting cross-legged on the ground with both hands, seemed to have changed its appearance under the wrapping of these pupil powers and chakras. Before, it was a compassionate Buddha, but now it is a demon king who wants to trample the world. Not only is the face changing, from a kind face to a green face with fangs, but the right hands have also become a giant sword, which is probably 1,000 meters long. The thousands of palms behind it have also become devil claws, as if they are ready to kill all the creatures in this world at any time. Bang! Bang! As the Buddha statue stood up, the whole land was trembling and wailing. Even the audience who were more than 10 miles away felt this powerful destructive force. As the smoke and dust generated by the movement of the Buddha statue dissipated, everyone found through the telescope that Uchiha Madara had floated into the air, but he was still so small, and it was obvious that he was still preparing to use the black unknown black ball to resist. To be honest, Uchiha Madara was really shocked when he saw Senju Hashirama using the real thousands of hands in front of him. After all, this was the true strength that Senju Hashirama had hidden before. Although it is not that big as strong, Madara has experienced Hashirama's wooden man technique, and he can know the opponent's strength with just one analogy, so Madara is also fortunate. First, he is fortunate that he listened to Kashiwasu's advice, and second, he is fortunate that he knows Kashiwasu, which has given him the current strength. Senju Hashirama, you are really strong. Even I, before I gained the current strength, admitted that I was not as good as your true thousand hands. But everything is over. Even if you add the power of the Mangekyo on top of it, you still have no chance of winning. But this is not your fault. It is because we are no longer on the same level. Next, I will show you the gap between us. Just attack me. My truth-seeking jade cannot be destroyed. This is the manifestation of the gap between you and me. Come on, feel the gap between you and me for yourself, and you will understand. After saying this, in order to show respect for Hashirama Senju's technique, Uchiha Madara also called upon the 4 truth-seeking jade that were originally floating behind him, and let them work together to form a sphere that wrapped Uchiha Madara to defend against the next attack. Senju Hashirama would not give up at this moment, even though he had already realized that he might not be able to break the so-called Seeking Truth Jade, because he finally remembered the legend about the Six-Path Sage, and found the similarities between Madara and the Six-Path Sage in appearance. Although he could not confirm it, he felt that he knew it in his heart, but he was not willing to accept his fate. Sage Technique, Wood Release, True Thousand Hands, Power Equipment, Sixth Heavenly Demon King. The huge Buddha statue completely turned into a Demon King, and countless demon claws swarmed behind it, all attacking the sphere composed of the Seeking Truth Jade, not hoping to tear it apart, but only hoping to consume his energy. However, what Senju Hashirama did not know was that the ability of this annihilation ninjutsu was not actively performed by the Seeking Truth Jade, but its innate characteristics, so the thousands of demon claws did not achieve anything. Boom! The longsword in the Demon King's hand chopped down and hit the center of the Seeking Truth Jade, but when all the dust settled, what was revealed was the safe and sound black ball. Afterwards, with a wave, the big black ball turned into 5 truth-seeking jades, floating behind the spotless Uchiha Madara, and the two of them just looked at each other. Chapter 114 Dream. Hashirama, you lost? Uchiha Madara looked at Senju Hashirama, who looked a little unnatural. Senju Hashirama lowered his head and remained silent. But your loss is not unfair. I will show you my strength later and put an end to your mistakes, so that the entire ninja world will be unified and become a truly peaceful place, Madara said proudly. No, such a tough unification will not convince people, and a lot of contradictions will inevitably arise, which will lay the hidden dangers for a bigger war in the future. Senju Hashirama's words were a little weak and a little lonely. Ho-ha-ho-ha, ah-ho-ha-ho-ha. Uchiha Madara laughed so hard that he fell backwards, fully showing his background as one of the 4 great laughing heroes. After Madara had laughed enough, he said, that's why I said that you don't understand how powerful I am. You don't know that I am so powerful that even the whole ninja world cannot resist me. Otherwise, you wouldn't say such ridiculous words. After all, as long as I am alive, no one dares to resist. Madara turned around and began to fly towards the audience. Okay, Hashirama, come with me to witness the beginning of a new era. The entire ninja world will begin to change in our hands, and everything will be better. Do you remember what you said at the time? You want to build a village so that the children in it don't have to go to the battlefield and can spend a stable childhood. 10 years ago, you established Konoha with your own strength, and you also relied on your own strength to prevent the children in the village from experiencing any war for 10 years. Now, I will use my strength to transform the ninja world so that all the children in the ninja world don't have to worry about the problem of war. I want to make the entire ninja world our most stable base camp and prevent any danger from spreading here. Hashirama, this is what I have always wanted to do since I was a child, in that wooden house, after hearing Kashiwahō talk about peace. I know it is difficult, even so difficult that even with the good intentions, there is a possibility of standing on the opposite side of the entire ninja world. But I am willing to do this. It is said that the eyes of our Uchiha clan are cursed eyes, and every time the eyes are opened, they are inevitably accompanied by the death of close relatives and friends, but in fact this is not true. This statement is completely the opposite. The Sharingan is not a cursed eye, on the contrary, it is a love eye. It is because of our love for our close relatives and friends that we open our eyes. The deeper we love them, the more painful it is when we lose the ones we love, and the stronger the eyes we open. I still remember the first time I opened my eyes. It was on that stream. You, me, your and my father's and brothers. We had to break up because of the war between the families, but I know that we ninjas do not deserve childhood. My happiest time is over. My best friend will become an enemy from now on. At that moment I opened a Magatama Sharingan. The moment I opened my eyes, I made a promise in my heart. I, Uchiha Madara, will make sure that there will be no more wars in the entire ninja world, and that no child in the entire ninja world will lose their childhood and the opportunity to become friends with others because of war like me. When I started the Mangekyo, I watched my father die in front of me with my own eyes, and I was powerless to do anything. Although I always thought that our relationship was not that good, when he really closed his eyes and before he died he still asked me to make the Uchiha clan stronger. Madara, Senju Hashirama did not expect to hear the always proud Uchiha Madara say such words, and he was a little overwhelmed. Senju Hashirama, it is extremely difficult to make the entire ninja world peaceful, and it is even more difficult to protect the ninja world from danger, and it is not something that can be done by one person. I want to invite you as a childhood friend to help me realize this childhood dream. I wonder if you are willing to help me, a guy who is about to stand on the opposite side of the entire ninja world. Uchiha Madara's tone was very calm, as if he was talking about something completely unrelated. However, although the tone was very calm, Senju Hashirama heard the unstoppable momentum in Madara's voice from this calm tone. Peace in the ninja world is my wish, but it was not realized without the death of people before. If you are really sure of this, then I am naturally willing to go with you, even if it means being an enemy of the entire ninja world. Hashirama restrained his honesty and funniness that he had always shown, and promised Madara seriously and firmly. After hearing Hashirama's promise, Madara's mouth slightly raised, but because he was flying in front, he was not seen by Hashirama, but the happiness in his words could not be hidden from Hashirama. In that case, let's see who can reach the stands first. Okay, then you better hold on tight. Ever since Hashirama Senju's true thousand hands used the giant sword to chop Madara, the surging chakra collision destroyed all the telescope techniques. Everyone in the audience didn't know what the outcome of the battle would be, but the huge sound produced by Madara and Hashirama's fight reached their ears, even though they were more than 10 miles apart. Although they didn't see the final result of the battle, through today's experience on the scene, everyone intuitively understood the gap between them. In fact, among the leaders of various countries who came here today, several people were still a little dissatisfied. They felt that even if Uchiha Madara and Hashirama Senju were stronger than them, they were not much stronger. Even if he couldn't deal with them, he would definitely be able to win with the help of a country's ninja. But now, seeing such a battle scene, they had no idea at all. They knew that the intelligence they had obtained in the past was not only not exaggerated, but even somewhat limited. Those daimyos, unlike those ninjas, did not have enough vision to see through Uchiha Madara's strength. Although they knew that those who could fight against a behemoth like Senju Hashirama must be strong people of the same level, the size difference made them feel a little unreal. Because they did not see the huge blue monster in the intelligence, they all looked at the daimyos of the Land of Fire and cast doubtful eyes at him. However, the daimyos of the Land of Fire were not in the mood to pay attention to those daimyos, because he had a particularly bad premonition in his heart, because this time Madara did not even summon the huge blue giant, but directly blocked the attack of Senju Hashirama. He knew exactly what this meant. Soon, everyone saw two figures, one flying and one running from a distance, coming towards the stands. Chapter 115 Unification. Heavenly Shock Star. In order to give everyone an intuitive feeling, Uchiha Madara used his Samsara Eye in front of everyone for the first time, and the first time he used it was such a super large ninjutsu that directly drained all his current chakra. It was only for this jutsu that Uchiha Madara absorbed some chakra from the Nine Tails in advance, otherwise it would be a bit difficult to rely on his own actual combat, and he could not be so calm at all. At first, everyone was a little confused, because the huge meteorite was still falling towards here from the sky, and it would take some time, so the situation on the scene was a bit awkward for a while. Of course, Uchiha Madara did not feel any awkward atmosphere, because his attention was all on the meteorite. According to his estimation, the diameter of the meteorite should be less than 2 kilometers. In fact, this ninjutsu has a disadvantage, that is, it cannot strictly control the size of the meteorite, because the essence of this ninjutsu is to change the direction of the meteorite from the sky through the gravity control of the Samsara Eye itself, so as to achieve the effect of the meteorite falling from the sky. However, the meteorites in the sky are of different sizes and distances, so the size and texture of the meteorites that can be summoned each time are not certain. For example, this time, a stone meteorite was summoned. At this time, everyone discovered the changes in the sky. Fortunately, Madara knew that this was just a demonstration and not to really kill everyone present, so he secretly used repulsion at the beginning to slow down the meteorite. So the final effect presented to everyone was that the huge meteorite that covered the sky and the sun just hovered in the air and slowly descended in a slow but extremely oppressive way. When the people on the viewing platforms saw this huge meteorite falling from the sky, many of them turned green. If they hadn't been sitting on the chairs, they would have collapsed on the ground now. Although this meteorite gave everyone enough pressure, it couldn't show its power after all. So Uchiha Madara attracted another smaller meteorite while controlling the meteorite to slowly descend, and smashed it towards the place where the two had fought before. So when the meteorite above everyone's head slowly shifted to the side, everyone caught a glimpse of a dazzling fire. Even in the daytime, this light was still dazzling. After all, this time it was to show its power. Although the diameter was only a little more than 1 kilometer, the stone meteorite still showed its terrifying power. Accompanied by a huge sound wave that broke through the limit of human acceptance, followed by the devastating impact, the entire site was destroyed, including forests and hills. Everyone felt the power of nature at this moment. Speaking of which, such power was beyond Uchiha Madara's imagination. He knew that the power of this ninjutsu was extremely terrifying, but he didn't expect it to be so terrifying. Fortunately, Kashiwasu had anticipated this in advance, knowing that the power caused by such a 1 kilometer diameter meteorite could directly sink Sakurajima in his previous life. So when the meteorite was flying towards here at full speed, it was shattered in advance. A large number of fragments burned up in the friction with the air, but there were still some relatively large fragments inside. Some of these fragments were even more than 20 meters in diameter, and the power of each one was almost the power of more than 20 Hiroshima atomic bombs. Fortunately, they all disintegrated and exploded before touching the ground. In addition, the place chosen here was where Bai Sui had already stored it in the interior, so it could be transformed. So Bai Sui pulled up hills on the ground in advance, just to limit the destructive power as much as possible here. As for the audience present, they no longer had much thought to protect it. After all, although this battlefield was relatively remote, it was not a completely uninhabited area. There were still people living dozens of miles away. Bai Sui didn't want to cause the death of those people just because someone wanted to show off. Although the ninja world is full of dangers at any time, it is better to do his best to save them. After all, Bai Sui actually had the opportunity to completely smash the meteorite in the sky, but at that time, in order to cooperate with Uchiha Madara's prestige effect, he selectively stopped. However, it was the first time to face the impact of a meteorite, and he underestimated its power. Although the meteorite fell from the sky this time, it directly reduced the area of tens of kilometers in diameter in Bai Sui's inner view, but fortunately it also reminded Bai Sui and made him recognize the power of the meteorite. If the Otsutsuki clan wants to use meteorites to destroy the ninja world in the future, at least Bai Sui has a criterion for judgment, that is, to directly smash all the meteorites into a size of up to 1 centimeter. In that case, it will basically not cause any substantial damage to the ninja world. After all, this can be regarded as a space-based weapon, and it is a very powerful one. Fortunately, there were many strong people in the scene. Even if there was no Kashiwasuke to protect the audience seats, there were Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama. So for such a large-scale attack, although the Seeking Truth Jade had an invincible defense, the area it could protect at the moment was too small. In the end, Susanoo was used, but not alone, but on the outside of Hashirama's true thousand hands. In addition, a strong man named Ishiga used an extremely powerful super light heavy rock technique to move the super large diameter meteorite that Uchiha Madara had originally placed aside to block the path of the explosion. Boom 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 boom. When everything was settled, even Madara had a mouthful of dust. Pa. After spitting out the dust in his mouth, Madara wanted to say something, but found that he didn't know what to say, because the entire viewing platform was buried in dust. Although no one was injured, everyone looked in a bad condition. Seeing such a scene, Madara was a little overwhelmed for a moment, because he originally thought that when the meteorite landed, the powerful force would shock everyone, and then he would directly express that he would conquer the entire ninja world, and whoever dared to disagree would be thrown the meteorite. Now looking at the dusty appearance of everyone, and then looking at his own similar outfit, he finally said with all his strength, "I want to unify the entire ninja world. This is the fate of those who disagree. Think about it yourself." After that, Madara flew away from the scene in a daze, wanting to find a place to be quiet. In fact, everyone present was not in the mood to listen to what Uchiha Madara said. At this moment, they were still immersed in the terrifying power and could not get out for a long time. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 116 Integration. What? That's actually the case. Senju Hashirama was very surprised by what he heard. That's right, we are going to face the Otsutsuki clan who may arrive at any time, and any one of them is as powerful as Madara, And there's even one who is called the god of Otsutsuki, so you can imagine the threat to us, Kashiwasa explained. Does every one of them have to be stronger than Madara? Senju Hashirama frowned. Bai Sui also shook his head. I can only say that it is most of them. After all, we don't have very accurate information now. You just need to know that they are collecting fruits all over the universe, and then use the fruits to enhance the strength of the entire tribe. What do you think the fruit that is nourished by the energy of a planet would be? Apart from anything else, at least in terms of energy reserves, people who eat fruits must be stronger than those who don't eat fruits. At this time, Madara thought of something and asked, you said before that you found that there was something abnormal in chakra. I wonder if you have found out the truth. Bai Sui pondered for a moment, trying to figure out his own words. Where should I start? You have to know how chakra is formed. It is a combination of physical energy and spiritual energy, right? But after analyzing those chakras, I found that there are some differences in them. Logically speaking, your own chakra is a combination of your own physical energy and spiritual energy, and it is full of your own marks, but this chakra can be used by any other ninja without any hindrance, without any discomfort or loss, just like the chakra extracted by yourself. With a blood inheritance network, you can absorb any chakra and ninjutsu. Isn't this strange? Madara and Hashirama looked at each other and nodded, indicating that they were all like this. Bai Sui continued, so I started to study from this aspect. After analyzing the chakras in tens of thousands of ninjas and the tailed beasts, I finally found the abnormality. I found that there was a trace of spiritual power in this chakra that did not belong to the ninja itself. It was because all chakras had this common spiritual power that all chakras could be shared. Considering that the chakra in the ninja world comes from the fruit condensed by the sacred tree, I initially suspected that this trace of spiritual power belonged to the sacred tree, but then I thought that there was more than one sacred tree, and there was more than one Otsutsuki team going out to carry out the tree planting mission, so I suspected that the source of this spiritual power was someone else. So I thought of the Otsutsuki god again. Do you think this trace of spiritual power belongs to the Otsutsuki god, or is there anyone in their Otsutsuki clan who can control this trace of spiritual power that has been hidden in the deepest layer? If in battle, the opponent suddenly activates this trace of spiritual power, how will your chakra react? Also, do you think that the god who can be called the Otsutsuki clan has any special abilities and means? One of them must be much more powerful than other Otsutsuki clan members. Everyone naturally agreed with this, but there was still no real solution. Bai Sui continued, after my attempts, I found a problem. That is, the premise of this chakra condensation is actually that trace of hidden mental power. I once tried to remove this trace of mental power in the chakra. But the result was that the chakra was directly decomposed into pure mental energy and physical energy. It was not until I analyzed the fairy chakra that I discovered the difference. I found that due to the natural energy, the mental power was suppressed, which led to the fact that the fairy chakra and chakra could not communicate with each other. It was not only because of the increase in natural energy, but also because the mental power could not be connected. But I can't be sure for the time being whether this suppression is permanent. If someone actively stimulates it, can it still be suppressed? So although I found that the fairy chakra has a certain effect, I dare not guarantee its final result. The best way is to completely abandon chakra and use natural energy directly, that is, the original system of the spirit world. It's just that the entire spirit world was no match for Kaguya Otsutsuki at the beginning, and I'm not sure that I can rely on that system to compete with the entire Otsutsuki clan. After hearing this, Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha were somewhat silent, but both of them were outstanding people, and such a blow could not make them depressed, but on the contrary, it stimulated their fighting spirit. In this case, let us develop a new system based on chakra and natural energy that is not constrained by others. Just because they can't do it doesn't mean we can't do it either. However, to achieve this, it is far from enough to rely on just a few of us. It requires the cooperation of all the creatures and all the systems in the entire ninja world to finally achieve it. At this point, Madara Uchiha looked at Hashirama Senju, and didn't stop until the other nodded in approval. So the entire ninja world was quickly integrated under the means of Uchiha Madara and Hashirama Senju, who split mountains and rocks. Miko, monks, samurai, gods, as long as they lived on this planet, whether you were breathing or not, were quickly integrated by the two. It took a total of 6 months. Not only all the countries, but also the entire cultivation world was integrated by the two. Now the only two places left, there is no strategy for the time being. One is the moon where the descendants of Hamura live, which is what the Hyuga family learned, and the other is the underworld that is said to be in charge of the souls of the dead. After everyone discussed it, they decided to go to the moon first. After all, compared with the six-path sage, his brother looked weaker. In addition, there was also the outer path demon statue transformed from the body of the Ten Tails, which was a treasure that would help everyone study chakra. When everyone came to the transmission channel pointed out by the Hyuga family, Kashiwasa immediately discovered a secret hidden in it. It turned out that there was an illusion here, and under the illusion was a summoning magic circle. Madara entered first, followed by Hashirama Senju, and Kashiwasa walked in last. Before entering, he deliberately felt the surroundings and confirmed that there was no situation before entering. Kashiwasa had never used summoning techniques or reverse summoning techniques before, so he had never felt this kind of different space movement. Now, Kashiwasa found that his application of space was very exquisite. This might be because all the members of the Otsutsuki clan possessed corresponding spatial abilities. The spatial ninjutsu in the ninja world was still very worthy of research, at least more valuable than Kashiwasa's shrinking the earth into an inch. Chapter 117, A Trip to the Moon. When they arrived at the moon, they saw a fertile field. Some people were farming there. They were obviously stunned when they saw everyone coming. They were even more surprised when they saw Madara's outfit. This teleportation array might have some kind of warning function. A large group of people immediately ran over from a distance and surrounded the three people from a distance. Earthlings, you shouldn't come here. This is the residence of the Otsutsuki clan. Please leave. The leader of the group flatly refused to contact everyone. Uchiha Madara took a step forward. Shinra Tensei, a strong repulsive force came from Madara's body, directly pressing everyone in front of him to the ground. The moon is also part of the ninja world, and there is no place in the ninja world that we cannot go to. This is a lesson for you. Consider your own strength before you speak next time. The Otsutsuki clan member lying on the ground was still a little dissatisfied. You, damn it, even if you are the descendants of the ancestor of the feather clothes, you can't go wild here. The moon was built by our ancestors to seal the goddess of the rabbit, and the ancestors have been guarding it. You are offending the ancestors by being so rude. Everyone had discussed this before, and felt that a short 1,000 years was not enough to kill Otsutsuki feather clothes and Hamura. According to various legends and information, everyone now analyzed that Otsutsuki feather clothes was likely to live in the underworld, and Otsutsuki Hamura lived on the moon to guard the seal. So everyone was ready to bump fists with Otsutsuki Hamura before this. After all, in their plan, they would sooner or later attack Otsutsuki Kaguya, so the two Otsutsuki brothers would no longer know who was their enemy, so they simply stopped playing any emotional cards and used force directly. Therefore, everyone had no intention of being polite since they arrived, and these Otsutsuki tribesmen just ran into the muzzle of the gun. All the Otsutsuki tribesmen present were subdued, and then everyone went to the main hall together. They said that the ancestor had always lived in the main hall, but they had never entered, and the ancestor had never come out. However, before they could go to the main hall, everyone turned and came to another place, where there was a huge statue, which was the outer path demon statue. Since Madara obtained the Samsara Eye, he has always felt that there is a kind of attraction on the moon, but he thought it was Kaguya Otsutsuki at the beginning. Unexpectedly, after arriving on the moon, this attraction immediately became clear. It was not in the moon under his feet, but somewhere on the moon. Now it turned out to be an ugly statue that could not be described, which made Madara a little confused, so he looked at the Otsutsuki tribesman next to him and motioned for him to explain. Legend has it that this was brought back and placed here by our ancestors after they sealed the goddess of the rabbit. It is said that this golem was carved from the sacred tree of that year, and it contains enough power to destroy the world. Madara nodded, thinking that this explanation was acceptable, so he tried to establish a connection with the statue through that attraction. Suddenly, Madara discovered that the statue gave him a feeling similar to the nine-tailed fox that he had contracted. Although they did not look like the same thing, the feeling did exist. So Madara planned to ask the nine-tailed fox about it after returning to Earth. After establishing a connection with the statue, Madara ignored it for the time being. After all, there were still things to do on this trip, so everyone continued to go to the hall. When everyone entered the hall, they did not see anyone. Although it seemed that someone should have been here before, there was indeed no one now. It seems that your ancestors don't want to meet us. Madara wanted to say something to the Otsutsuki people, but Senju Hashirama found a scroll on a desk. After unfolding it, he saw that it said, "I just want to wait for my mother here. If you have anything, go find my brother." Seeing this, everyone knew that this trip could only achieve half of the purpose. After all, if Otsutsuki Hamura really wanted to hide, they had no way. After all, this was the moon, and they didn't dare to make any big moves, for fear of releasing Kaguya from the seal in advance. So Madara and Hashirama forced all the Otsutsuki clan on the moon to leave the moon, and before leaving, they did not forget to let the Otsutsuki clan move the outer path statue away. After returning to Earth, they first handed over the Otsutsuki clan to their subordinates and asked them to settle them first. Then everyone discussed matters related to going to the underworld. As for going to the underworld, Kashiwasa actually had a plan. "Hashirama, I remember you have a summoning technique. Is it to summon Rashomon?" "Yes, this is a summoning technique passed down from the time of our Senju clan, which is said to be able to summon the phantom of Rashomon." "What do you want?" Obviously, Hashirama also understood what Kashiwasa meant. "Yes, try to use the reverse summoning technique to summon us to the location of Rashomon. I asked the god of death before, and he said that Rashomon is the gateway to the underworld. If we can reach Rashomon, we can enter the underworld." Kashiwasa indicated that Hashirama was right. "But, I have a question. Isn't it said that only the souls of the dead can go to the underworld? What if we can't get through, or we can't come back after we go there?" Hashirama was still a little hesitant. Even Uchiha Madara agreed with this. After all, it was different from the moon. Who knew whether they could come out after going to the underworld? He was not afraid of everyone, but he was afraid that by then, even everyone would have no chance. Bai Sui waved his hand to indicate that it was okay. If it really didn't work, he would go by himself. After all, if it was really a pure soul fight, Bai Sui was not afraid. With his inner vision and ability to return to the city, he was already invincible. But he didn't expect that he would come to the door before everyone set out to find Otsutsuki Haguramo. It makes sense. The six-path sage would visit the ninja world from time to time and leave some legends. If the other party paid attention to the ninja world during this huge change, they would definitely want to come and see it. Everyone suddenly felt a mental fluctuation, and Hashirama Senju immediately lost consciousness, while Bai Sui and Uchiha Madara looked at each other before entering. However, Bai Sui only separated a wisp of spiritual consciousness. If the other party really turned against him, the worst thing would be the loss of this little spiritual consciousness. Moreover, if the other party dared to underestimate this wisp of spiritual consciousness, he would suffer a great loss. As soon as Bai Sui's spiritual consciousness was connected to the mental fluctuation, he immediately entered an illusory space. In this space, everyone showed their true appearance. Although there was only a wisp of spiritual consciousness, but the moment it entered here, it burst into endless brilliance. This was clearly light, but it pressed down the space so hard that it was shaking and on the verge of collapse. Chapter 118 The Sage of Six Paths. It turned out that Bai Sui's soul had gradually dissolved the golden elixir condensed by his spirit over the years, and reconstructed it together with his soul. Now, he only needed the final step to get rid of all the yin qualities and turn into yang spirit. Even now, Bai Sui's soul has taken on some of the characteristics of a yang spirit. Although it cannot gather and disperse at will, it has already had qualitative characteristics. Therefore, in this illusion created by the six-path sage, although this divine consciousness is only a little, because it is substantial, even if it is only a little, it will crush this illusion. However, this is the result of Bai Sui's own practice after all. Everything is controlled at will. After discovering that this is pure illusion, Bai Sui also put away the reality and existed here in a virtual state. Seeing this situation, Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama knew why Bai Sui was so confident about going to the underworld. They were all in the state of soul at this moment, so they could naturally feel the power of the light that Bai Sui had just released. It was just like the scorching sun on the floating snow. Wherever the light passed, all the yin qualities disappeared. The two had no doubt that if Bai Sui had not put away his power, they and this place would have disappeared in this light. As for the six-path sage who was originally sitting on a cloud opposite, didn't he fall from the cloud? I just don't know if he can resist it. The scene was a little silent for a while. Bai Sui looked at Otsutsuki Haguramo, and the other three looked at Bai Sui. They didn't know what to say. At this moment, the most shocked person was Otsutsuki Haguramo. You know, since he sealed his mother 1,000 years ago, he has no opponent in this ninja world, especially when he realized that he could transform himself into chakra and transform his existence from matter to energy. He felt that nothing could affect him anymore. With Otsutsuki Haguramo's vision, he could naturally see that there was only a little consciousness of Bai Sui here, but even this little consciousness could directly cause damage to his spirit with its characteristics. If Bai Sui came over, wouldn't he disappear directly? That's right. In fact, the current Otsutsuki Haguramo is this space, or in other words, after he converted all of himself into chakra, he used these energies to imitate the style of the underworld and aggregated them into this space in front of him. The reason for doing so is that when he and his brother sealed his mother together, he found that his mother was completely different from them and was truly immortal. So in the following time, he studied hard and finally achieved it in this alternative way. As long as this space still exists, he is immortal and will be reborn infinitely in this space. Even after dying in this space, the chakra will not dissipate, so he doesn't even have any consumption. Not only that, because he deliberately imitated the characteristics of the underworld to build this space, and even hid this space in the underworld, this ensured that those who can come here are in the state of soul. He thought that all the existences in the state of soul could not break this space. However, today, he knew that he was wrong, and he was so ridiculously wrong. There are actually people in this world whose souls have material properties and can directly crush their own space with the existence of their souls. The original idea of supporting the younger generation and showing his saintliness in front of the future generations no longer existed. He even didn't have the idea of killing Bai Sui's consciousness, because he was afraid that this would anger Bai Sui, which would cause Bai Sui's entire power to come over, and then he would really have nowhere to hide. So, you are the six-path sage. Although Bai Sui could see that the other party was in a bad mood, he couldn't just waste time here, so he took the initiative to open the conversation. Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama also retracted their thoughts at this moment, and once again focused on the six-path sage who took the initiative to show up. After all, the opportunity in front of them is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Although it seems that the other party has been hit by the appearance of Bai Sui, resulting in some bad emotions and may not be willing to talk to everyone, it is precisely when this kind of emotion is lost that it is easier to get out what they want. So the few people started a one-day conversation in this space. For this reason, Bai Sui also thoughtfully found a bed to put Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama on it, so that they would not be paralyzed on the ground for a day and their backs would be sore. It can be said that he is worthy of being the strongest person who has been active in the ninja world for 1,000 years. Whether it is the professional knowledge reserve or the various experiences, the six-path sage is like a huge and unrestricted library, allowing everyone to find what they want in it. What interests Kashiwa Sui the most is the six-path sage's judgment and research on the samsara eye. According to the six-path sage's research on his brother over the years, he found that the samsara eye is a combination of the Byakugan and natural energy. He and his brother were born after the blessing of the spiritual world beings at the beginning, and they themselves have a certain affinity for natural energy, but the six-path sage is more reflected in his own fairy energy, while Otsutsuki Hamura is reflected in his eyes. Although the large amount of natural energy gathered made Otsutsuki Hamura unable to awaken the samsara eye, it opened up another way for him, that is, the samsara eye. According to the six-path sage's research, he found that the Byakugan was the most basic pupil technique of the Otsutsuki clan, and the other various eyes were variants of the Byakugan based on this. For example, extreme emotions will turn the Byakugan into Sharingan, extreme chakra will turn the Byakugan into samsara eye, and extreme natural energy will turn the Byakugan into samsara eye. Even the six-path sage speculated that if there is another extreme energy, it is very likely to change the Byakugan again. He said that when he was a child, he heard his mother say that the Byakugan was innate to their Otsutsuki family, and it was even the beginning of their ability to conquer the universe. This statement had to make Kashiwa Sui's heart move. In addition, he thought of the official Naruto fanfiction in his previous life, which had a more powerful eye, the pure eye. It was said that the pure eye was a variant of the Byakugan. It seems that all kinds of eyes are indeed inseparable from the Byakugan. However, even if there are some ideas, Kashiwa Sui will not start trying now, because his samsara eye is still nurturing the pupil technique, and in Kashiwa Sui's perception, the pupil technique will be nurtured in 1 or 2 days, so there is no difference in these few days. After the pupil technique is nurtured, When Kashiwasa records this rhythm, it will be too late to try various attempts after promotion. Chapter 119 Blaju. The communication between the crowd was initially conducted by the six-path sage himself, but later gradually became a communication between the four people, and later it was purely a discussion between Kashiwasa and the six-path sage. After all, although Kashiwasa had not studied chakra for as long as the six-path sage, he was completely from the perspective of an observer and could see many problems that they could not find themselves. For example, Kashiwasa discovered that the problem of the mental power contained in this chakra was completely unknown to the six-path sage, and even made him think that Kashiwasa was lying to him. You should know that the six-path sage has been in the underworld for at least 700 or 800 years, and most of his time after that has been dealing with souls. However, thinking of the soul characteristics that Kashiwasa had shown before, the six-path sage had to doubt himself again. After all, it is reasonable that such a strong man does not need to lie in this regard. Knowing that the six-path sage did not believe it, and that there were also Hashirama Senju and Uchiha Madara here, although Kashiwasa had heard about it before, he had never seen it with his own eyes, so he demonstrated it on the spot. After receiving a ball of chakra from the six-path sage, Bai Sui tried to structure it in his own way, and finally separated a tiny amount of mental power that was not even visible to the naked eye from the chakra the size of a wash basin. As expected, after the mental power was separated, the ball of chakra immediately collapsed into mental energy and physical energy, and no matter how the six-path sage tried, he could not synthesize chakra with only this pure energy that had been cleaned up, until he injected a little bit of chakra into it as a primer, and almost immediately synthesized it into chakra again. This made everyone believe it, and even made everyone discover another characteristic of this strand of mental power, that is, it can proliferate on its own, but it has been controlling the amount of it, ensuring that it only proliferates until it is just enough to synthesize chakra. This obviously has a certain intelligence or instinct. The six-path sage also said that he had never heard his mother talk about it before. It is very likely that this matter is a very confidential matter even in the Otsutsuki clan. After all, it is difficult for ordinary people to doubt their innate abilities. This kind of thing gives people the feeling that one day you suddenly find out that your eyes are actually parasitic on your body. You were born with it and can see the world, but it is not your own, but someone else's. How can ordinary people think of this? However, now that the facts are in front of them, everyone naturally cannot let it go, especially the six-path sage. You must know that he has completely transformed himself into chakra existence and has no entity. Doesn't this mean that everything he has now is pinned on that trace of mental power? So he strongly requested to join the team of people to study the new energy, and also took out the underworld he currently manages for everyone to study. After all, if the energy that everyone first comes out is mainly about the soul, it will be relatively easier for him to transform in the future. This can also be regarded as a little selfish of him. Not only that, after the six-path sage learned that natural energy has the effect of suppressing that trace of mental power, he also said that he would definitely persuade his younger brother to join the team and study with everyone. After all, it seems that the pair of reincarnation eyes formed by the combination of natural energy and the Byakugan may give everyone a different discovery, or at least provide everyone with a lot of experimental data. Even after knowing that Kashiwasa can mass-produce the Samsara eye and the bloodline net through special means, the six-path sage is so happy that he can't express it in words, because this means that there will be countless research materials, whether it is live experiments or anything else, they can let go of their hands and feet. However, everyone has disappeared for a day, so it is not good to stay any longer. After all, although Kashiwasa is still awake, he himself does not care about things, or he does not want to care about things, so Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama cannot disappear for too long. After all, the entire ninja world has just been unified, and there are still a lot of things to deal with, and even people's hearts are not stable yet. If the news of the two people being unconscious or missing spreads, it will definitely cause another wave. At this time, the center of the ninja world was determined by everyone to be the capital of the Land of Fire. After all, both the capitals of Kang and Den were a little remote. Now that they wanted to unify the ninja world, everyone chose a place that was relatively central and relatively convenient to pass through. Of course, there was resistance in this process. The daimyo forces even took out their bottom-of-box floating islands. However, with the joint efforts of Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama, It took only one day for all the resistance forces in the entire ninja world to either die or be captured, and even escape rarely occurred. Because Senju Hashirama knew that once these people escaped or hid, they would inevitably destroy the newly formed peace situation. Even if they did not do anything, their identity alone was the biggest hidden danger. As for the treatment of these people, in fact, Madara and Hashirama still had not thought it through, or there were some differences. In the past, Senju Hashirama, who had always adhered to the principle of not letting anyone die, actually advocated killing them all. The reason was that their identity would affect the stability of the future ninja world. For this reason, no matter who it was, as long as it hindered peace, it should be clear. Uchiha Madara had the opposite idea. He felt that he unified the ninja world, not only all the ninjas, but all the living beings in the ninja world. Most of the nobles and their vassals were ordinary people. Madara believed that killing ordinary people on such a large scale would intensify the division between ninjas and other identities. What they should do was to unify everyone, rather than artificially create opposition. In the end, the two people's quarrel was deadlocked, and they finally decided to hand it over to the court for processing. Yes, at this moment, the entire ninja world has adopted the previous management system of King's because they found that it did have many unique features. It was also because of this that the people of King's who were originally applying this system, took the lead and occupied many important positions in the court. After all, they had a share of the original capital of this new country. Ignoring the various quarrels in the court, after everyone voted, they decided to place their future experimental base on the moon. Although the Six-Path Sage strongly recommended the underworld, because of its particularity, it restricted the entry and exit of many living people and eventually lost the election. At this moment, above the moon, there are 3 holy places: warriors, shrine maidens, monks, onmyages, gods, ninjas, demons, and even black zetsu contained in a bottle. Yes, after observing for such a long time, Kashiwasa sealed black zetsu in this bottle after making sure that black zetsu was no longer of any use. Chapter 120 50 Years. When he saw black zetsu, Otsutsuki Hagoromo was very surprised, because he felt that this person was actually a pure yin-yang escape creature, and there were only a handful of people with such attainments in the ninja world. The first thing that made him think of was his mother, the former goddess of the rabbit, Otsutsuki Kaguya, and the subsequent communication also confirmed his guess. Especially the more he knew, the more scared he felt. He didn't expect that there was such a hidden story behind his son's fight. At the same time, he was also glad that Kashiwasa caught black zetsu, otherwise he really didn't realize that someone had been secretly planning to break the seal of the moon for thousands of years. If this matter was really done by black zetsu, the current Six-Path Sage really didn't have the confidence to seal his mother again. After all, there was actually a little sneak attack factor at the beginning. Now everyone gathered together and began to prepare to resist the Otsutsuki clan. Whether in terms of military strength or energy system, everyone is making targeted adjustments. Grandpa, we are here to see you. With a loud voice, a little girl with a bright red face and her husband broke into the Teishi mansion. Yes, the Teibao mansion has been built into the Teishi mansion, and Bai Sui was also named Teishi decades ago, but such an honor is no longer of any practical use to him. Oh, it's little Kushina who brought her boyfriend. Come on, come and sit here. Bai Sui, who is over 120 years old, looks like he has finally gotten rid of his immaturity and looks like he is in his 30s. In fact, Bai Sui has gradually become disconnected from the secular world in the past 50 years. After all, time is the most ruthless. Except for those guys who have already reached the level of Otsutsuki, most of the people he is familiar with have passed away. Unexpectedly, about 20 years ago, a little girl was born in the lineage of King Kang. She is the niece of the current King Kang and the great-great-grandson of Bai Sui. This little girl has been willing to run to the Grandmaster's mansion of Bai Sui since she was a child. She said that she felt safe around Bai Sui. In fact, her family had some objections at that time. After all, Bai Sui was already 100 years old at that time. They thought that it would be bad if the child ran around and bumped into the old ancestor. After all, Kushina was like a tomboy since she was a child. She was simply a person who could not sit still. Later, everyone saw that Bai Sui did not have any physical problems, so they gradually relaxed their control over Kushina and let her play on her own. As a result, Kushina had just been studying at Hongwengun for a few years when she was abducted by the blonde boy in front of her. Now the two are married. This time she came to Bai Sui because Kushina felt that she was pregnant and came to tell Bai Sui the good news. Minato, you have come several times. You don't have to be restrained here. Come and sit down and have an apple. Although Bai Sui knew about this in advance, he suddenly sensed it about 3 days ago. He sensed that Kushina came back today and told him that she was pregnant. However, Kushiwasu still pretended to be completely ignorant. After all, sometimes knowing everything is not always a good thing. Just like now, Kushiwasu's sense of surprise has been destroyed. However, there must be some sense of ritual in life. So Kushiwasu waited for Kushina to say it herself. Grandpa, guess why we are here? Kushina was still keeping the secret in front of Kushiwasu. Oh? Haha, let me guess, what is it? Is it because Minato bullied you, so you come to complain? Kushiwasu also played with her. Hate it, Minato will not bully me, I bully him more or less. Kushina said that Minato scratched his head. Ha ha ha, then why is little Kushina here? Is it because Minato was selected for this batch of space special training? So he came to show off to me. Kushiwasu then said another thing he had predicted. But speaking of this space special training, this is also the result of Kushiwasu and others in these years. Because they felt the possible disadvantages of chakra at the beginning, everyone developed from multiple angles and multiple systems together. As a result, with the support of a large amount of resources, the researchers who developed the floating island airship at the beginning cultivated talents on this basis, and iterated backwards from generation to generation, and have developed related facilities that can navigate in space. It is also based on this that after discussion, everyone decided to build fortifications outside this Earth in order to be able to defend against the enemy and minimize the damage to the ninja world. Seeing that Kushiwasu actually guessed another thing she wanted to say, Kushina was anxious all of a sudden, afraid that Kushiwasu would guess that she was pregnant, so she quickly said, "Oh, Grandpa, this is not what I want to say, I found out that I am pregnant." "Oh? Really? Come here and let me see." Kushiwasu took the opportunity to call Kushina over. My parents originally wanted me to go to the hospital, but when they heard that I was coming to you, they didn't say anything. After all, now in terms of medical skills, only my Aunt Tsunade can show her face in front of you in the entire hospital, and others don't even have the qualifications to speak to you. Kushina smiled. Bai Sui scratched Kushina's nose. "You are so sweet. Go ahead. You and your child are both healthy. Don't worry. You came at the right time. We developed a new training system and enhancement method 2 days ago. You all eat here today. I will go get some materials and use them for your child in the afternoon." This is not nonsense. It can be said that all the top talents in the entire ninja world have been gathered. In the past 50 years, various new things have been developed. For example, for the problem of chakra, after years of research, everyone has finally gradually explored many of its characteristics. The first is the problem of the total amount of chakra. Everyone found that the total amount of chakra in the ninja world is indeed increasing gradually, especially after the ninja world has become peaceful. The population has begun to grow rapidly, and the number of ninjas has increased dozens of times. However, after comparing the souls of the underworld and the chakra in the entire ninja world, everyone found that the total amount of chakra has been increasing. After everyone's exploration, they found that the reason lies in that trace of mental power. This mental power can actually be passed on to children through inheritance, so that children can also give birth to chakra. After many studies, Bai Sui and others finally found a way to block the spread of chakra. Even if the mental power has been passed on to the child through inheritance, it doesn't matter. As long as they switch to other systems before actively refining chakra, they will find that basically all other systems will produce rejection of external forces after practicing to a certain extent. At that time, that trace of mental power will be passively expelled from the body in this process, and without the corresponding carrier, this trace of mental power will quickly dissipate. Perhaps because of the characteristics of the chakra system itself, in everyone's attempts, it was found that the speed of forming combat power in a short period of time is really faster in this chakra system. So although everyone is also promoting other training methods at the same time, the ninja system is still the most used at this stage, including the couple of Kushina, who are still using the chakra system. And just 2 days ago, their research has made new progress. That is, they have discovered a new training system, which is still due to the wonderful ideas that Bai Sui had taken out before. This training method is different from Bai Sui's inner seeking method. This is a pure external seeking method. In simple terms, It is to use a large amount of pure life energy, infuse it into the body of the practitioner, and then operate it in a specific way, or perform physical exercises, and finally produce a kind of energy temporarily named ki. This kind of energy is very destructive, and the speed of improving combat power is also very fast. It can be said that as long as the energy is sufficient, plus one's own foundation is strong enough, then one can obtain extremely powerful power in a short time. And life energy, in everyone's attempts, the easiest way to obtain it is actually chakra. As long as the special mental power in the chakra is extracted, it will decompose into pure physical energy and mental energy, and these energies can be used as resources for cultivation. However, this kind of ki, compared with other energies, is more violent and difficult to control. Unlike the conversion of chakra into various magical escape techniques, the application of this kind of ki is temporarily limited to simple energy output. But even if it is simple energy output, after everyone's attempts, in just 1 month, everyone was able to give birth to a strong man who can directly blow up a mountain with ki. In everyone's eyes, this is simply a success that transcends the times. After all, in this way, perhaps in the future, everyone will not only not be afraid of the Otsutsuki clan coming to extract chakra, but will catch the Otsutsuki clan and decompose their chakra, so as to achieve the effect of fighting to support fighting. And what does Bai Sui think? He feels that he has seen this kind of energy somewhere before. Later, he thought that this is exactly the same as the energy in Dragon Ball. Now what Bai Sui has to do is to prepare a gift for this child of Kushina, a physical energy that can enhance his physique now and lay the foundation for his future practice. And this gift is the Otsutsuki Ishiki who has been hiding in the ninja world, or his current host Jijin. Speaking of it, Jijin is really good at hiding. Even Bai Sui suspected that it was because the Otsutsuki Ishiki could feel the rhythm that caused the other party to avoid the area he had recorded in it. Otherwise, how could he not find his trace until recently when Bai Sui recorded the rhythm of the entire surface of the planet? Not only that, in Bai Sui's perception, the other party did not stay in one place at all. He would leave through the teleportation ability every once in a while, obviously avoiding their pursuit. It seems that even if the other party does not know the exact purpose and ability of Bai Sui to record the world, he also knows that this behavior will not benefit his hiding. As for why the other party does not know Bai Sui's ability to record the world, it is because if the other party knows, he will know that Bai Sui has the ability to teleport in all the recorded places. His frequent escape is useless at all, but will increase the possibility of being discovered. Originally, Bai Sui decided to find an opportunity to capture Otsutsuki Ishiki. On the one hand, he can use it for experiments, and on the other hand, he can get a lot of information about Otsutsuki from the other party. I think Otsutsuki Ishiki, as the protected person, should know more than Otsutsuki Kaguya, who is the guardian. In fact, Bai Sui originally wanted to go by himself, but after thinking about it, it is better to go with Uchiha Madara and others. After all, the other party is a being who has lived for thousands of years. Once there is some means of hiding, he can find someone to share the risk. So, Kashiwasu immediately assembled a 5-member team, including Kashiwasu, Uchiha Madara, Senju Hashirama, Otsutsuki Haguramo, and Otsutsuki Hamura. In fact, Kashiwasu originally wanted to find Madara and Hashirama, but he didn't expect that the 2 brothers were also there. When he heard that it was a member of the Otsutsuki, he joined the team. Under the guidance of Kashiwasu, everyone quickly rushed to where Jijin was. Seeing the 5 people who suddenly appeared, Jijin was obviously stunned for a moment, obviously not expecting that everyone would find him at this time. However, his reaction speed was very fast. He almost instantly judged the difference in strength between the 2 sides and immediately opened a black and red circular portal to escape from here. However, don't forget that the scene is equivalent to the fearless Otsutsuki tribe standing there. This spatial movement ability is okay to bully ordinary people, but in front of the same level, it is impossible to get away smoothly. So, look at the one wearing a white feather weave, a black cloak, hair gathered on the top of the head, a long braid behind the head, a Roman numeral IV tattooed under the left eye, and a wedge mark on the chin. Jijin wore a red collar and red wrist guards on his neck and wrists, painted black nails, a black crystal on his abdomen, a red belt around his waist, and red earrings on his ears. He stood stupidly in the black and red portal that kept flowing, but under the joint tightening of the space by everyone, there was no intention to teleport. This discovery made Jijin, who had been very elegant, look a little bitter, because he knew what he was about to face. Speaking of which, he had actually prepared for this day a long time ago, but he didn't expect that when it really came, he still couldn't accept it so easily. After all, although he had lived for 1,000 years, he failed to complete his master's order in the end. It's a joke. Jijin relied on the power of Otsutsuki Ishiki to live for 1,000 years. Recently, because he couldn't bear the erosion of time, he needed to find a new weapon for Otsutsuki Ishiki, but he didn't expect that in this forcibly unified ninja world, he couldn't easily take anyone away. Even an ordinary civilian was registered and would be verified and checked regularly. This is actually a helpless move by Uchiha Madara and his team. After all, who knows when the Otsutsuki clan will come, so they can only use this method to regularly screen the ninja world so that they can find abnormalities as soon as possible. The future chapters will be changed to 4K, because when I was writing, I found that there were often 2K situations, and the plot divided into chapters was somewhat incoherent, so I simply did not divide it, and each chapter will be 4K in the future. In addition, I will still ensure that the update volume is 4K every day recently, and the number will not be reduced. Everyone wait for May Day, and if I am not busy, I will write more at that time and add more for everyone. Chapter 121 Decomposition and Cracking. Okay, let Otsutsuki Ishiki come out, we are looking for him. Facing an Otsutsuki Ishiki, everyone was still very confident. This, you asked for it. As Jijin screamed, a large number of black patterns suddenly appeared on his body, and a horn coiled on his head grew out of his head, and he was about to complete his transformation. Seal, unexpectedly, Kashiwasa appeared directly behind him and poured a large amount of natural energy into the opponent's body, forming a stable restriction, directly freezing Jijin, who was still in the process of transformation, on the spot. After confirming that the opponent had been completely sealed, Bai Sui finally breathed a sigh of relief. Who wants to wait for you to transform? You have this ability but you don't use it right away. You deserve to lose. After saying that, he ignored Jijin, who wanted to kill with his eyes, and threw him to Otsutsuki Haguramo and others. Let's go back and study him. So, the 5 of them took less than 1 minute to resolve the battle. After all, the opponent was a half Otsutsuki clan member who had been seriously injured and disabled by Otsutsuki Kaguya. Bai Sui only brought in external aid to prevent the opponent from jumping off the wall and choosing some self-destruction method. Otherwise, let's put it another way. Do you really think that Bai Sui's 50 years have been in vain? Not only the pupil technique of the Samsara Eye, but also the reincarnation eye, Bai Sui has long possessed it. Now he is really invincible in this ninja world. After all, he has recorded the entire surface of the planet in the inner scene, and is gradually moving towards the center of the earth. Now, Bai Sui has reached the point where he can control the surface of the entire planet. How should I put it? With the starship blueprints obtained from the Research Institute, Bai Sui can build thousands of ships in a short period of time by himself by controlling the interior scene. And when on this planet, every attack of Bai Sui will add extra power, and these powers come from this planet. Bai Sui has a hunch that when he records the entire planet from the inside out, his strength will have another leap. It is also because Bai Sui has the ability to control the surface of the entire planet, so the entire research team has almost never worried about various natural materials. As long as they are on the surface, all materials are within the control range of Bai Sui. For example, in the past ninja world, the extremely rare chakra metal, the normal annual mining volume is only a few tons, and it has to be shared by the whole ninja world. In Bai Sui's place, hundreds of thousands of tons are directly transported at one time, and this is because these are needed temporarily, otherwise Bai Sui can get more. As for precious metals such as gold and silver as currency, there are as many as you want, and they are directly used by Bai Sui to stabilize the monetary system. Otsutsuki Haguramo opened a portal, and everyone passed through it and came directly to the Research Institute on the moon. The moon is no longer the wasteland it used to be. In the past few decades of development, as a test site for the latest technologies of the Research Institute, the changes here are earth-shaking. For example, the concentration of natural energy here has far exceeded the so-called 3 holy places, and everyone has also modified the original moon seal. On the basis of the original chakra seal, they have also added various messy seals, such as space seals, natural energy seals, soul seals, etc. These seals can ensure that no matter what experiments everyone does here, they will not disturb Otsutsuki Kaguya inside, and will not give her any chance to escape. Regardless of whether Otsutsuki Kaguya was sealed voluntarily before, she now has no possibility of escaping by her own ability, because the Research Institute has also preset several self-destruction facilities here. If those facilities are really activated, Bai Sui feels that he can't resist them anyway, and the only way is to avoid them. However, considering that Kaguya Otsutsuki possesses a powerful space ninjutsu like Yomi Hirasaka, many space projects have been added, including formations, barriers, talismans, and even the ultra-high-power space jammer recently developed by the Research Institute. These can ensure that Kaguya Otsutsuki's space ability can be interfered with in a short period of time. Even if Kaguya Otsutsuki has an immortal body, she will inevitably return to the chakra state under such a series of attacks. However, many large-scale equipment have been set up on the Earth. These equipment have only one function, that is, to absorb free chakra, and all of them have been pointed in the direction of the moon. Under these equipment, there are at least 5 people who can strip the spiritual power from the chakra, and they can ensure that Kaguya Otsutsuki's chakra is consumed in the first place. Not only that, this set of plans is also preset by Kashiwasu and others to deal with the Otsutsuki clan in the future. There are these devices in those starships and space stations, and everyone has even considered that if the chakra of the Otsutsuki clan is too large, everyone will not be able to decompose all the absorbed chakra in the first place. Everyone also has a preset alternative plan, that is, there is a device under each large device that is specially used to store a large amount of natural energy. If it is really too late, the operator under the device will inject natural energy into the chakra in time, and suppress the spiritual power in the chakra through natural energy. And now, this Otsutsuki Ishiki will become the first real attempt in everyone's hands. The power of this chakra collection device, running at full power, can also be regarded as a valuable contribution to everyone's experiment. Is the experimental subject ready for placement? The person in charge of the special experiment of the institute asked the assistant. It has been placed properly and the experiment can be carried out, the assistant replied quickly. Okay, then notify them to prepare to start the experiment. After all, the dean and others will need these energies after they are decomposed. The person in charge and the assistant walked towards the experimental field. 3, 2, 1. Start. As the countdown ended, the corresponding equipment was operating in the predetermined way. Jijin, who was stored in the strong space interference area, had already decomposed into a large amount of chakra in the huge energy turbulence. After that, these chakras gathered towards the equipment almost at the same time as they were exposed. For a moment, a large amount of chakra gathered into a very gorgeous energy vortex. The chakra concentration has reached the standard. Start decomposition, as the orders were issued. The personnel waiting for the equipment to be lowered began their work. The huge amount of chakra, which even exceeded the total amount of the 9 tails, was being decomposed quickly, decomposing into the most primitive physical energy and spiritual energy. No, it seems that we still underestimated the chakra amount of the Otsutsuki clan. 5 people are not enough. Although we will not use only one device in real combat, we must also be prepared for extreme situations. According to the current situation, the number of people must be increased to at least 15, so that we can achieve the effect we want. The person in charge was talking about relevant matters with the assistant next to him. Bai Sui shook his head. If you look at it this way, at least 30 people are needed for one device. Don't forget that Otsutsuki Ishiki is half crippled. He must have needed more when he was in his prime, but in this way, we may not have enough manpower. Even if we don't count the ones on the moon, we have more than 500 devices on the Earth and the starships. If there are 30 people on each device, that would be 15,000 people at once. Although it's not that we can't prepare it, there will be insufficient manpower in other areas, which will affect our overall combat power. Senju Hashirama scratched his head. There's no way. After all, we have been developing for a short time. It's not easy to cultivate so many strong people in such a short time, but I think this is a necessary investment. After all, once we can complete the decomposition of chakra in the first time, it is equivalent to directly killing the opponent in seconds. At the very least, it will abolish most of the opponent's strength, which is also the best way to avoid the ninja world from being hit. Uchiha Madara agreed to send more people. Speaking of which, after 50 years of unremitting efforts, the reason why the strength will change qualitatively after obtaining a huge amount of chakra is finally solved. The reason lies in that trace of mental power. Everyone once tried to restore the outer path demon statue to the 10 tails, and then decomposed it after the experiment was completed. Through experimental data, everyone found that the 10 tails itself has more huge spiritual energy. Although it is not known whether it is man-made, the 10 tails spirit is extremely chaotic and the mental power inside is also very violent, but everyone found that the 10 tails has the ability to generate spiritual energy by absorbing life energy. This is somewhat similar to the small structure that Bai Sui found in the eternal kaleidoscope before, and these have similar effects, but the size and power are different. Therefore, the 10 tails can absorb the life energy of the planet and generate spiritual energy at the same time. After that, these spiritual energies are combined with the absorbed life energy to generate chakra under the action of that trace of mental power. In the experiment of everyone, it was found that the so-called result of the sacred tree is simply to condense these chakras in it, without any other substances or energy. Of course, since everyone does not have another planet for the 10 tails to devour, it is not known for the time being whether there will be other changes in the process of fruit ripening. After all, everyone can't really use the ninja world for experiments and feed the ninja world to the sacred tree. But even so, this experiment still opened up a way of thinking for everyone. Everyone continued to study in this direction, and finally discovered the secret inside. After a large number of experimental comparisons, even for this reason, Kashiwasu even promoted several Otsutsuki-level strongmen. That operation directly stunned the Otsutsuki brothers who saw it for the first time. After all, they have never seen such means in the past 1,000 years. In the end, the study found that what caused their strength to change qualitatively was actually the trace of mental power in the chakra. Don't look at that trace of mental power when it is taken out alone. There is not much, but when a large amount of chakra is gathered in a person's body, those gathered mental powers, when the proportion in the other person's body exceeds a certain proportion, will begin to transform the human body. This transformation is spontaneous, which is why a lot of chakra is consumed when the Otsutsuki level is promoted. The spiritual power in these chakras is used to merge with the body, and the energy decomposed is used to strengthen the body and spirit in a specific way. In order to distinguish them, the research institute named that trace of spiritual power as the ancestral spiritual power. After all, it seems that the source of the strength of the entire Otsutsuki clan is this trace of spiritual power. On this basis, the research institute integrated various information obtained and made the following inferences. A long time ago, the Otsutsuki clan only had white eyes. Later, it is possible that a peerless strongman appeared in the clan and passed on his spiritual power to his descendants. Later, in order to reproduce the glory of the ancestor, the descendants expanded wildly, just to create another Otsutsuki god. Or it is also possible that the Otsutsuki clan was enslaved by another unrelated strongman for a long time, and this ancestral spiritual power was the means to enslave the Otsutsuki clan, and it was also a reward for the Otsutsuki clan. Later, it was unknown whether the strong man left or died, or whether the Otsutsuki clan had been frantically accumulating strength to get rid of slavery in order to prevent being enslaved again. Of course, it is not unreasonable to say that the ancestral spiritual power is a treasure obtained by the Otsutsuki clan. In short, everyone has temporarily understood the pros and cons of the ancestral spiritual power. As for more, everyone really doesn't know. After all, Otsutsuki Ishiki never speaks, and Jijin doesn't know anything. But this is normal. After all, Jijin is just a parasitic device. Who would tell his own house about those family secrets? Ignoring everyone's efforts to clean up the mess, Bai Sui took a large group of life energy from it and prepared to go back to supplement Kushina's child so that he could win at the starting line. Senior, wait a minute, do you want to strengthen the foundation for your juniors? Can you help my juniors strengthen it? My granddaughter is already 36 or 7 years old, and she is just pregnant. Senju Hashirama saw Bai Sui leaving and followed him eagerly. Oh? Your granddaughter Tsunade is now the leading medical expert in the entire ninja world. You are so concerned that you are confused. Bai Sui suddenly felt that more and more of the younger generations around him seemed to be pregnant recently. Senju Hashirama scratched his head. He was already over 80 years old, but he still acted like a child. Little Tsunade's skills are no match for yours. Besides, I don't trust her to do it herself. Ha. Okay, then you can bring her to my Teishi mansion later, and I will do it for them. Okay, I won't say anything more. I'll go get another ball of life energy. Bai Sui waved his hand and asked Senju Hashirama to go back and lead the people. He went to get more life energy in case it was not enough later. Chapter 122 Huan and the Past. When Bai Sui teleported back to the Teishi mansion, she saw Kushina and her husband Namikaze Minato being together. Someone came, tried tea and prepared some more cakes for them. After chatting for a while, they saw Senju Hashirama leading his granddaughter and grandson-in-law. "Hello, Auntie." "Hello, Uncle." Kushina saw the visitor and hurriedly got up to greet them. It was also thanks to the unification of the ninja world. When the marriage Uzumaki Mito learned that her husband chose to support the daimyo and her family chose to establish a country, she was actually prepared to never meet her relatives again in her lifetime. Unexpectedly, in just 10 years, earth-shaking changes had taken place. The entire ninja world was actually unified, and Senju was able to reconcile with Uzumaki again, and she was able to meet her family again. Not only that, she also became a member of the royal family, because after the unification, in order to commend the contribution of King Higo, King Kang was not cancelled. Although King Kang himself no longer had real power, it was still a symbol of status. Seeing that everyone had arrived, Kashiwasu also started to get busy, dividing the life energy in his hand into 4 parts, giving them to Kushina and Tsunade, as well as the children in their bellies. In about half an hour, with the help of Kashiwasu, all the life energy was absorbed by them, and then they just needed to take care of the fetus and wait for the birth step by step. In the subsequent chat, everyone talked about Tsunade's husband Kato Danlei. The two also met in Hongbunken. After all, the ninja world has been peaceful for a long time, and there is no chance of war at all. The reason why Kato Dan did not come with him was because he was on the starship at this time. After all, their family's spiritual transformation technique, which included a unique soul cultivation method, made it easier for him to strip the ancestors' spiritual power than others. Speaking of Kato Dan, Kashiwasu thought of Jiraiya, who was a star figure in the previous life of Naruto. In addition, his tragic history at the end was naturally not easily forgotten. Tsunade was naturally aware of this guy who often looked at her with lustful eyes, and even complained, "I don't know what Maiboku Mountain was thinking, that they would actually want to give the summoning scroll to such a lustful guy." You know, when he was in school, he was caught trying to peek into the female bathhouse many times. From Tsunade's tone, it is not difficult to hear her dissatisfaction with Jiraiya, probably because he tried to peek at her for no reason. It is true that there are no 3 people in the ninja world now, and Sarutobi Hiruzen is not the master of the 3 of them. Although his mastery of all attribute chakra ninjutsu made him a well-known elite teacher in Hongbunken, it is impossible for Tsunade to become his apprentice. After all, his grandfather is still alive. Without the running in and contact since childhood, who would like a guy who dresses greasy and tries to peek all day long? After figuring out these things, Bai Sui no longer asked. After all, although Jiraiya now has lost a love, at least he will not be beaten to death by his own apprentice, right? And from Tsunade's tone, it seems that this guy is now living a happy life of drinking and partying every day. After sending a few people away, Bai Sui sat cross-legged in the void, counting his gains over the years. Among them, the most important thing for Bai Sui is his Yangshen achievement. As the saying goes, gold is immortal, so it is the treasure of all things. The 3 levels of essence, energy and spirit are perfect, and they naturally gather and condense into golden elixir, which contains the secret of human immortality. When Bai Sui's Yuan Shen completely absorbs and reconstructs it, all the yin qi dissipates, and the yang qi is pure and thick. At this time, Bai Sui's Yang Shen is finally successful. Of course, Bai Sui now actually has 2 choices. One is to abandon the physical body and live in the world only as Yang Shen. In this way, although you can be happy in space, fly thousands of miles, step on the clouds, look down at the mountains and the sea, or play in the world, and change as you like. But if it is like this, I am afraid there will be no possibility of going further. Although Bai Sui is actually satisfied with this world is not peaceful. Who knows what kind of means the god of Otsutsuki has, or even whether there are other more powerful existences in this universe. After all, it is a small Earth, and it has run into the biggest boss in the universe before going out. This luck is more or less 2 against the sky, so Bai Sui guessed that maybe the Otsutsuki clan is not the point. After all, compared with the universe, what Bai Sui can know is too limited. Therefore, Bai Sui has chosen the second path now. On this basis, he continues to refine the Yang God. Every day, he returns the Yang God to the ancestral orifice, and uses his own true fire to refine it again and again, in order to refine the spirit and return it to emptiness. The Yang God is refined 100 times and 100 spirits are refined. The wisdom light of the Yang God generates the divine fire, which penetrates all the orifices of the body. The Yang flame soars into the sky, penetrates the feet and the top, and refines the body into the Yang God, so that the divine light shines everywhere. Finally, the divine fire is refined throughout the body, and the body collapses and shatters into the innate ancestral key that seems to exist but does not exist, seems to be non-existent but not non-existent, and has no form or trace. It returns to the void and achieves the unity of heaven and man. When the Kung Fu reaches this point, it can be gathered to form, and dispersed to become ki. It is immortal in catastrophes and has a long life equal to heaven and earth. Now Bai Sui is following this method and cooking it with pure fire every day. After decades, the Yang God has not changed at all, but the vertical pupil that carries the Yang God has shown abnormalities. The whole eye seemed like colorful glass, like a fluorescent light, flickering with a soft glimmer. Whether it was pupil power, magic power or natural energy, it was all absorbed under the burning of the true fire. However, it still did not breed any special pupil skills like the samsara eye, as if it was really just an ordinary eye, but Bai Sui knew it must not be, because over the years, this vertical pupil has absorbed various energies that are several times or even dozens of times more than the samsara eye. The energy consumed by this vertical pupil alone is several times more than that of Bai Sui's samsara eye, reincarnation eye, and pure eye combined. Although it has not had any significant abilities so far, Bai Sui is very much looking forward to its future. Oh, by the way, Bai Sui's current samsara eye has gone a step further on the original basis and evolved into a red 3 Magadama samsara eye, and this achievement is the product of the Research Institute's analysis of the 10 tails. Because according to the information provided by the brothers of Otsutsuki Haguramo, Otsutsuki Kaguya's eyes are the Byakugan and the Samsara Sharingan. Combined with their deduction that all kinds of eyes are variants of the Byakugan, and the violent and chaotic spiritual energy of the 10 tails, they speculated that the fruit swallowed by Otsutsuki Kaguya also contained a large amount of the 10 tails' negative emotions and mental power, and these negative emotions were the source of the Sharingan, and the Samsara Sharingan was the product of the qualitative change after the accumulation of more negative emotions. At the same time, this can also explain to a certain extent the reason why Otsutsuki Kaguya became more and more brutal in their mouths, that is, she was gradually affected by these negative emotions, and the whole person was sliding towards the abyss. So Bai Sui tried this theory. Bai Sui relied on his own achievements in Yang Shen, so he directly gathered a lot of negative emotions, condensed them into spiritual energy, and poured them into the samsara eye. As a result, the originally white samsara eye turned red, and then 3 Magadama suddenly appeared one day. After that, Bai Sui wanted to continue to infuse negative emotions, but he had a bad premonition from the bottom of his heart. His Yang Shen was warning him that if he continued to let the samsara eye infuse negative emotions, his Yang Shen would not be directly polluted. But it was like a fly that kept flying around your ear. Although it could not hurt you, it would definitely attract your attention, and even over time it might arouse your emotions and make you feel irritated. These negative emotions were like this. Although they would not really affect Bai Sui now, they were like flies that kept flying around Bai Sui. Usually they would be ignored, but once Bai Sui himself showed abnormalities, it was like some people were in a bad mood because of some things, and these flies would particularly affect their emotions. So Bai Sui stopped and maintained the state of the 3 Magadama samsara eyes. In this state, Bai Sui's pupil technique had changed a little. The original Mangekyo pupil technique still existed, and the effect became better, but it became more rude to use, not as delicate as before, and there was a feeling of moistening things silently. After that, it was the pupil technique of the samsara eye. In addition to the most basic gravitational repulsion, 2 pupil techniques were born in Bai Sui's samsara eye, one is Huan and the other is Nun. Huan originally meant a royal capital, which refers to the area within 1,000 miles around the ancient imperial capital. The ability here is to open a different dimension that is completely controlled by Bai Sui through pupil techniques. This is different from the inner scene. After all, everything in the inner scene is based on reality and is a place that others can directly reach. This different dimension belongs exclusively to Bai Sui. Outsiders cannot enter without Bai Sui's permission, and forcing in will only directly destroy it. Nan originally meant the past, and the past. Here, Bai Sui is given the ability to reverse the time of things in his sight. Although Bai Sui can also do this in disguise through rhythmic recording, what is the premise? Bai Sui must have recorded when the other party was young. This pupil technique does not have such restrictions. As long as Bai Sui has enough mana, he can perform it directly. This is the samsara eye. According to the theory of the Research Institute, Bai Sui also tried to inject a large amount of natural energy into the Byakugan, and indeed opened the samsara eye, which is different from the special pupil technique of the samsara eye. This samsara eye is more about improving the control of energy. In addition to the basic gravitational repulsion, the samsara eye can condense an energy ball mixed with mental power and natural energy. After this energy ball is injected into someone else's body, it can control the body and mind of others to a certain extent. Due to the suppressing effect of natural energy on the ancestral mental power of the chakra species, this mental energy ball is particularly effective for ninjas, but it is temporarily ineffective for the Otsutsuki clan. This was experimented on Ishiki Otsutsuki, and of course it is not ruled out that it was because he was boarding someone else at the time. It can be said that the biggest function of the samsara eye is to improve the user's ability to control various energies. As for the gold and silver wheel samsara explosion, it is a form change and explosion of the seeking truth ball. On top of this, Bai Sui tried to inject other types of energy into the Byakugan, among which the effect of physical energy was very good, and a pair of pure eyes were born. The eyeball of the pure eye is light blue, and the conjunctiva is black. When the eye is opened, the veins will not bulge like the Byakugan. It has the same farsightedness as the Byakugan, but the Byakugan sees things in black and white, while the pure eye sees things in color. In addition, it can directly see the fluctuations in space. Combined with Bai Sui's ability to see rhythm, Bai Sui's understanding of space has directly risen to a higher level. However, although these three pairs of eyes are good, they cannot exist at the same time. Although Bai Sui can grow a few more eyes, it is really too embarrassing. So Bai Sui has been trying all these years. Since these eyes are based on the changes of the Byakugan, can they be merged, or various abilities can be brought together? In the end, after decades of unremitting efforts, Bai Sui finally used his own rhythm to merge these three eyes together. The fused eyes look very different, with black conjunctiva, blue eyeballs, and circles of reincarnation lines on them. There are even 3 Magatama rotating on the innermost circle. The most notable thing about these fused eyes is that all their abilities have been enhanced, whether it is gravitational repulsion or the control of time and space, they have made great progress. For example, before Madara used the heavenly shock star, now if Kashiwasa uses it with all his strength, he can directly attract a meteorite with a diameter far exceeding 10 kilometers, which can easily destroy the ecosystem of the ninja world. Although if Kashiwasa really wants to destroy the ecosystem, now he only needs to think about it. More intuitive is Kashiwasa's pupil technique. The different space that belongs to Kashiwasu not only has greatly increased in size, but also greatly improved in stability, and a large amount of natural energy has appeared in it. What is the most important thing? These natural energies are not injected by Kashiwasu, but are naturally generated. What does this mean? This means that Kashiwasu will have endless energy from now on. Although it seems that the generation speed of natural energy is a bit slow now, as long as the construction continues, sooner or later Kashiwasu will have inexhaustible energy. And now this pair of fused eyes, Kashiwasu thought for a long time, and finally decided to call it the Samsara Eye. Anyway, it doesn't affect his ability. Bai Sui began to practice day after day in his own Teishi mansion, hoping that he could reach the point where he could gather to form, disperse to become ki, survive catastrophes, and live as long as the heaven and earth. Then he would truly step into the threshold of great freedom. He could refuse if he wanted, and he wouldn't have to worry about any life-threatening dangers. However, Bai Sui, who is meditating, suddenly had a picture in his mind. The picture was a starry sky, and under the starry sky were 2 people on their way. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 123, Prepare for Battle. Kashiwasu teleported to the moon and called everyone in the research institute to discuss what he had discovered. After all, it looked like someone from the Otsutsuki clan had come. Although Kashiwasu had not read the fan work Boruto in his previous life, He had heard that 3 people from the Otsutsuki clan had come to cause trouble. It was said that the 3 people were designed based on Momotaro, so although Kashiwasu only felt 2 people, he was still prepared to prepare for 3 people. Soon, everyone gathered together and looked at Kashiwasu, waiting for Kashiwasu to speak. Bai Sui nodded to everyone. I have something to say to everyone when I gather them together. I think everyone knows that I have a special ability, which is to know the future without asking or feeling. That's right, it's just as you think. I sensed that someone was coming to us in the starry sky with his physical body. Although I didn't see their appearance clearly, I felt that they should be from the Otsutsuki clan. I saw 2 people, one fat and strong, and the other thin and small. However, although I only saw the 2 of them, I felt that there should be another person. I just don't know if he is hiding in the dark or will come later. However, we still have to take precautions and defend with at least 3 people. Everyone attaches great importance to Bai Sui's premonition. After all, based on past experience, it can be said that it is 100% accurate. I don't know, do you have a premonition of when they will come? We can also hurry up to prepare, someone asked. Unfortunately, I didn't sense the time, because I'm not familiar with the sea of stars, and I don't know where they are now. Moreover, compared to this universe, the 2 are too small to be used as a reference, so we should prepare as much as possible according to their arrival today. It's better to be strong than not strong enough. Bai Sui shook his head. Okay, then we will prepare according to the plan we made before. As for the alarm, we won't sound it for the time being. We will sound it after we really sense the Otsutsuki. Otherwise, if the other party doesn't come in a short time, it will have a negative impact, someone suggested. After that, everyone went to prepare their own things according to their respective division of labor. Bai Sui was left, still thinking about the 2 Otsutsuki in the hall. It's just a pity that in the previous life, I really didn't watch Naruto. For these later Otsutsuki, I only heard a name, and I didn't even know what abilities they had. In the end, Bai Sui could only leave helplessly and go back to train Yang Shen step by step. After all, this is the best way to deal with it at present, to respond to changes with the same attitude. In fact, Bai Sui was still a little confused, because even if Bai Sui had not watched Naruto and the subsequent plots, he knew that these Otsutsuki should at least wait for Naruto and the others to grow up. After all, according to the time calculation, it is still more than 10 years earlier. Bai Sui thought about it and finally thought that the problem might be with the Otsutsuki Ishiki. It is very likely that they have some abilities that Bai Sui does not know about, so that when he died, he passed the news to the Otsutsuki clan, which attracted the attention of the Otsutsuki clan so quickly. But now this Otsutsuki Ishiki has become pure energy, and he will not come out to explain no matter how much he thinks. So this answer may only be answered after the arrival of the 3 Otsutsuki members. But no matter what the truth is, the most important thing now is how to hold this precious time so that everyone can ensure that they can deal with those Otsutsuki clan members in a short time. As for Kashiwasu himself, to be honest, he didn't really want to fight with the Otsutsuki clan. After all, if he could solve everything by himself, there would be no need to promote the development of the ninja world and spend a lot of energy and resources to cultivate the people in the ninja world. So Kashiwasu hoped that they could solve their own ninja world's affairs. If possible, Kashiwasu hoped that he could be carried away by them. So Kashiwasu's interface with them was his inner view. Only when he was above the ninja world could he have enough power, so he stayed in the back and guarded the ninja world. As for going out to defend against the enemy, it was left to Uchiha Madara and others. Speaking of which, the ninja world has not been a joke in these years. In addition to Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama, there are still 12 Otsutsuki level strongmen. They are Otsutsuki Hamura, Otsutsuki Haguramo, Uchiha Izuna, Uchiha Yuri, Senju Tobirama, Hyuga Hizashi, Otsutsuki Kayuki, Uzumaki Masashi, Yama Okaribai, Fujiyama Kazuo, Kusaka Riki, and Teranishi Yasuji. Needless to say, the brothers of the Six-Path Sage, Uchiha Izuna, Uchiha Yuri, Senju Tobirama, and Uzumaki Masajo are 4 Otsutsuki level strongmen promoted by Kashiwasu through his own means. They all have the Samsara Eye and the Sage Body. Hyuga Hizashi and Otsutsuki Kayuki followed the path of Otsutsuki Hamura and opened the Samsara Eye, which is acceptable in terms of combat power. As for Yama Okaribai, Fujiyama Kazuo, Kusaka Riki, and Teranishi Yasuji, they are purely the scientific research results of the ninja world in recent years. They are not the existence of the ninja chakra system, but the products of the fusion of various systems. Although they are weaker than the Otsutsuki clan, they do not use chakra as energy, and will not be affected by the spiritual power of the ancestor in the future. Don't think that these 4 strong men have been produced in the past 50 years, and they are weaker strong men, and think that they have wasted their time in these years. The meaning of these 4 people is different. It's not that there are only 4 people, but it means 4 paths. These 4 people are all different, but they can all exert similar strength, but the training speed is different, and the resources consumed are also different. It's just that in general, they are not as good as chakra. Of course, these people are just the top ones. There are still many fighting forces below them. For example, the 3 immortals in the 3 holy places, although their strength is not as good as the Otsutsuki clan, can also be regarded as the existence of the second echelon. There are also many remaining gods, which are also the cornerstones of the future ninja world's conquest of the universe. It's just that they are temporarily useless against the elite forces of the Otsutsuki clan. However, since they already know the vastness of the universe and have the ability to explore outside, do you think they will still shrink in the ninja world? In the end, the entire ninja world will definitely take the step of exploring outside. It's just a matter of time. As for whether they will choose the same aggressive exploration as the Otsutsuki clan, or a more peaceful way, it depends on the ninja world's own wishes. Speaking of which, this universe seems to be more lively than the universe in Bai Sui's previous life. After all, according to the way the Otsutsuki clan terminated the sacred tree, each of their fruits is the disappearance of a planet with life. From the mouth of Otsutsuki Hamura, it is learned that Otsutsuki Kaguya said when they were young that the Otsutsuki clan has a history of hundreds of thousands of years, and they have collected a lot of sacred tree fruits. It is also true that the sacred tree normally takes 1,000 years to mature. If the history is too short, it is estimated that only a few crops of fruits can be harvested. In addition to the time spent on exploration, the production cycle of a fruit should be even longer, but even if the time is extended to 2,000 years, it is still negligible for the time of life. But in such a tiny time, all the life on a planet is destroyed, and the Otsutsuki clan has done this countless times in the past hundreds of thousands of years, which means that countless planets with life have fallen. In Bai Sui's previous life, for so many years, he has been conducting various explorations into space, just to find other life, but he has never been able to find it. In this regard, Bai Sui could only say that the Otsutsuki clan did not know how to cherish, and was simply squandering natural resources. Any life planet destroyed by them would have been a sensational news in the previous life. Without considering the wasteful behavior of the Otsutsuki clan, and without considering the future interstellar exploration of the ninja world, Bai Sui once again put his thoughts back to himself. Because he felt a little different, this strangeness came from Bai Sui's inner scene, since Bai Sui's inner scene recorded the entire surface of the ninja world. Bai Sui expanded in both internal and external directions at the same time. Inward is to the center of the earth, which currently seems to require a long time, and outward, Bai Sui directly reached the moon first. After all, this satellite is much smaller than the earth, and it would be easier to record it all, plus there is also an Otsutsuki Kaguya inside. To be honest, although everyone has added several more seals on the basis of the moon, Bai Sui always feels uneasy. After all, according to what Bai Sui learned in the previous life, the eye of Kaguya Otsutsuki is the Samsara Sharingan, which is superior to the Samsara Eye and the Bloodline Net. The special ability it possesses, Yomi Hirasaka, is evaluated as the ultimate time-space ninjutsu, and the Tenno no Gochu is a magical power that can freely weave space. It can be seen that Kaguya Otsutsuki's ability in the field of space is absolutely a top-notch existence, but she was trapped by the Chibaku Tensei. Even if she was sealed, it was the Six Paths Chibaku Tensei that was used by 2 Otsutsuki-level beings. The Six Paths Chibaku Tensei requires the joint efforts of people with both yin and yang powers to activate the technique. People with both yin and yang powers activate this technique by touching the object, forcibly attracting all objects around them on a large scale, and attracting the sealed opponent and the earth together. The sealed opponent will continue to rise away from the earth while losing power, and eventually form a huge rock sphere to trap and seal the enemy. But the problem is, although their mother's chakra was split into the 9 tails, and sealed together with the 10 tails body and the outer path demon statue in the rock-formed moon, according to the situation in the previous life when Black Zetsu awakened Kaguya Otsutsuki, Kaguya Otsutsuki's consciousness should be awake, So what has Kaguya Otsutsuki's consciousness been doing for thousands of years? Even if she only has the body of the Ten Tails, don't forget that the Ten Tails body still has huge power. Even if it is much worse than when it was in its heyday, it is enough for her to use several techniques. But in fact, the other party just stayed in the moon safely and steadily without any abnormal movement, and this is the biggest unreasonableness. When they reinforced the seal on the moon, Kashiwasu was on guard for a long time, just to prepare to suppress Kaguya Otsutsuki's resistance in the first time, but the result was that Kashiwasu was worried for nothing, and the whole moon was quiet throughout the whole process, as if the seal below was not the goddess of the rabbit who once dominated the ninja world. And now, what is the abnormality that Kashiwasu has discovered? That is, the entire moon has been recorded in the interior of Bai Sui, but there is no figure of Kaguya Otsutsuki in the empty room in the middle. This discovery shocked Bai Sui. In this way, it was normal that there was no abnormal movement when everyone sealed the moon, because Kaguya Otsutsuki was indeed not on this moon. In this case, where's the goddess now? Suddenly, a name flashed through Bai Sui's mind, Black Zetsu. No mistake, it seems that Black Zetsu is not a yin-yang escape creation of Kaguya Otsutsuki, but simply the will of Kaguya Otsutsuki. This can also explain why Kaguya Otsutsuki was able to revive from Uchiha Madara after being possessed by Black Zetsu. He even knows a lot of secrets. You know, he is just a yin-yang escape creation. How can he know so many secrets and forbidden techniques? I didn't think of this problem before, but now I see that there are many abnormalities. And over the years, Black Zetsu has been used as a research material and sealed in a bottle. But the question is, if he is really the will of Kaguya Otsutsuki, and this can really be sealed, what has he been doing all these years? Or what is she planning? Speaking of which, if Black Zetsu is really the will of Kaguya Otsutsuki, then Kashiwasu's previous conjecture is more accurate. Kaguya Otsutsuki was actively sealed by Naruto Uzumaki and Sasuke Uchiha. All of this is likely a trap she set up. In the past 1,000 years, she has been cultivating strong people who can fight against the Otsutsuki clan. Later, she found that Naruto Uzumaki and Sasuke Uchiha were people who would fight against the Otsutsuki clan to the end for the ninja world, and they also inherited the power of her two sons. She then cooperated with the acting and sealed herself up again. As for why Otsutsuki Haguramo could not find Black Zetsu in the past 1,000 years, that's because Black Zetsu does not exist at all. It has always been Kaguya Otsutsuki walking in the ninja world. The so-called Black Zetsu is just an identity she uses. We will take a day off on the 30th and we'll update everything every day on May 1st. Thank you all for your support. Chapter 124 Arrival. Without disturbing anyone, Bai Sui came directly to the bottle that sealed Black Zetsu. I didn't expect that you are the Kaguya Otsutsuki. You have been playing tricks on your child for thousands of years. You really played a big game of chess. Bai Sui looked at the bottle and said slowly. Seeing Bai Sui's arrival, Black Zetsu was obviously a little confused, but he immediately came to his senses and started to curse. His words were nothing more than waiting for Kaguya Otsutsuki to come out and he would definitely kill them. Bai Sui smiled and waited for Black Zetsu to finish. I have already gone to the inside of the moon to see. There is nothing inside. Oh no, I saw a stone-carved table inside, and Kaguya Otsutsuki is not under this seal at all, so there is no need for you to hide like this. It is meaningless. Hearing Bai Sui say that he saw a stone table on the moon, Black Zetsu was obviously silent, and the two looked at each other for about 10 minutes. Black Zetsu, oh no, it should be Kaguya Otsutsuki, saw the dark massive matter shaking in the bottle, and then walked out of the bottle directly. Before landing, it expanded rapidly and finally turned into Kaguya Otsutsuki. You are really brave. Aren't you afraid that your intrusion will loosen the seal of the moon, allowing me to escape? As far as I know, aren't you preparing to fight against the arrival of the Otsutsuki clan recently? If I escape the seal at this time, you will not be in a good situation either. Kaguya Otsutsuki was a little confused. Observing the legendary goddess of the rabbit from a close distance, Kashiwasu found that she was as delicate as a porcelain doll, but Kashiwasu was not prepared to elaborate on her doubts. It is precisely because the foreign enemy is about to attack that I am forced to find you. After all, we don't know nothing about the situation of the Otsutsuki clan, but in fact we know very little. And now in the ninja world, the only place where we can really get the corresponding information is you. Oh, Otsutsuki Kaguya, I have felt a little funny. Why do you think I will tell you? Not to mention that I am also a member of the Otsutsuki clan. Just based on the fact that my two unfilial sons sealed me, I have no reason to help you." Bai Sui shook her head. "Since I dare to find you, I naturally have made some judgments. First of all, in my opinion we all have a common enemy, that is, the Otsutsuki clan. After all, it was you who violated the guardian's duty and attacked the Otsutsuki Ishiki with your own hands, and ate the fruit of the sacred tree that was originally to be handed over to the family. No matter which of these two things, the Otsutsuki clan will not let you go easily, right? As for your second point, saying that it was Otsutsuki Hamura and Otsutsuki Haguramo who sealed you together, this is not right or wrong in my opinion. After all, the power you had at that time was definitely above the two of them. After all, what you have is not just the Samsara Eye, but the Samsara Sharingan." As he spoke, Kashiwasa stimulated his pupil power and revealed his Samsara Eye with 3 Magatama. "Look at my eyes. Just the addition of these 3 Magatama can clearly feel that it is stronger than the previous Samsara Eye. And I heard from the 6th Path Sage that there are 9 Magatama in your eyes. And even if this is not mentioned, what is the Chibaku Tensei? Even if they succeeded in their sneak attack because of a momentary lack of inspection, have you not thought of a way to get out of it in these 1,000 years? The most important thing is that when they collectively reinforced the seal of the moon last time, you acted too calmly, as if you didn't care how powerful the seal of the moon was. There was no obstruction at all, not even a symbolic resistance. All this is too weird. Not bad. I don't know whether I should say that you are observant or that you are thoughtful." Kaguya Otsutsuki chuckled. "I have been used to a comfortable life for thousands of years. After all, my 2 sons have never doubted whether I was sealed or not. I was careless. I actually thought that all of you would always believe that I was sealed in the moon. It's really ridiculous." Kashiwasu didn't comment on this. After all, he thought so before. After all, the plot of Naruto in the previous life was played like this. He didn't say that he believed it. After all, he has been in this world for 100 years. Obviously, there are many inconsistencies. But Kashiwasuke Kaguya, who was originally a background board, really didn't make Kashiwasuke doubt it. At least he didn't doubt that the other party was sealed in the moon. Seeing that the other party had directly admitted his identity, the two of them didn't talk here. After all, the place where Black Zetsu stayed before was just a warehouse. Although it was a warehouse with a relatively high security level, it still couldn't change the fact that it was essentially a warehouse. Kaguya Otsutsuki took the initiative to open a black portal. This portal appeared very suddenly, and its existence form seemed rather special, with edges and corners. This was obviously Kaguya Otsutsuki's ultimate space-time ninjutsu, Yomi Hirasaka. Kaguya Otsutsuki walked in first, and Kashiwasu followed after thinking about it. The green sky and the reddish-brown earth were visible, and Kashiwasuke felt a lot of chakra as soon as he came in. Obviously, this should be the space of the original ball in the plot of the previous life. Sure enough, looking in the direction of Kaguya Otsutsuki, he saw a castle and a huge statue of Kaguya Otsutsuki. Kashiwasu took 2 quick steps and followed Kaguya Otsutsuki into the castle. After the two sat down, Kaguya Otsutsuki looked at Bai Sui. "I said you were very brave. You even dared to follow my aim no Mikado." Bai Sui kept a smile on his face. No, it's just because we know that we have a common enemy. In fact, it was because Bai Sui tried that after entering here, he could still return to the city in an instant through the interview with 1 key, otherwise he would not be so fearless. After all, being able to run is his biggest trump card. Speaking of which, Bai Sui found that as his strength increased, the distance he could teleport through the interview was getting farther and farther, so later he simply launched several small meteorites directly into the universe, all of which were coordinates that had been recorded by Bai Sui's interview. Although some of them were damaged because they flew too far or for other reasons, there are still many meteorites that are still floating in the space outside the Earth, which can be regarded as a safety measure for Bai Sui in the future. Speaking of this space of Kaguya Otsutsuki, I don't know what's going on. Although it is in another space, it has not left the range of Bai Sui's teleportation. Maybe it's because of the positioning when it came? Although Kashiwasu was not particularly clear, it did not affect the good news for Kashiwasu. Kaguya Otsutsuki and Kashiwasuke chatted for a long time during the contract and revealed a lot of information about the Otsutsuki clan. Kashiwasuke seized the opportunity and asked Kaguya Otsutsuki about the information about the 3 of them. It's a pity that Kaguya Otsutsuki was not familiar with the three of them, but Kashiwasuke learned a lot about a guy named Otsutsuki Yamane. This Otsutsuki Yamane is the Otsutsuki clan member who is closest to God on the legend. He is even the source of many abilities of the Otsutsuki clan, but he is still not the source of chakra in the Otsutsuki clan. Because this Otsutsuki Yamane also relied on continuously swallowing chakra fruits for thousands of years to continue to evolve, and finally approached a godlike existence. However, according to Kaguya Otsutsuki, this Otsutsuki Yamane has only the remains left, but he is not dead. Instead, after swallowing a large number of fruits, he crossed the dimension and surpassed the concept of life and death, so his soul was detached, leaving only a physical existence for the entire Otsutsuki clan to study. It can be said that the Otsutsuki clan, because of such a precedent, firmly believes that as long as they eat enough fruits of the sacred tree, there will be a day when the Otsutsuki god will be created. After all, this Otsutsuki god can be said to be the highest belief of the entire Otsutsuki clan. According to Kaguya Otsutsuki, 1,000 years ago, someone was close to the level of this Otsutsuki Yamane. Although there was still a lot of difference at that time, it is unknown what the support has reached in the past 1,000 years. This is also one of the reasons why Kaguya Otsutsuki resisted returning to the clan, because the fruit of the sacred tree that Kaguya Otsutsuki ate was originally intended for him, which is equivalent to snatching it directly from the mouth of the strongest person in the clan. No wonder the goddess of Ma would never go back. And according to Kaguya Otsutsuki, the guardian and the protected each have a special technique. The guardian has the ability to gather all his chakra into one and turn it into chakra fruit, while the protected has the ability to refine various life energies into chakra pills. Not to mention the chakra fruit, its quality depends entirely on the strength of the guardian itself. Some chakra fruits are even better than the fruits of the sacred tree. As for the chakra pill, there is a saying that although its effect is not as good as the fruit of the sacred tree, it can quickly replenish the chakra of the user, and can also speed up the recovery of injuries, and even enhance the combat effectiveness of the user in a short period of time to a certain extent. In addition, the Otsutsuki clan can basically do it, and quickly recover from injuries by converting chakra, so this chakra pill can almost instantly heal all the injuries of the user. And this is also the point that needs to be paid attention to when fighting with the Otsutsuki clan next. Don't take it lightly just because the opponent is seriously injured, because the effect of this chakra pill, according to Kaguya Otsutsuki, is extremely powerful. Beep. 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 Quick, sound the alarm. Our detection radar has captured 2 figures. According to our calculations, if they continue to move at their current speed, they will reach our outermost defense circle in 2 days at most. The first to discover the Otsutsuki people was the space station that had been hanging high in the sky. There was no way that the other party was too small. Compared with the busy universe in the main film, it was too difficult to observe. When they were discovered, they were actually very close. In fact, not only that, there are also Otsutsuki people who often use portals to move when they move long distances in the universe. After all, this universe is too vast. If they rely on themselves to fly, even at the speed of light, it will take a long time. Oh, by the way, according to Kaguya Otsutsuki, whether the arrival of these Otsutsuki people is the back end of Ishiki Otsutsuki is really hard to say, because in Kaguya Otsutsuki's view, 1,000 years have passed, and Ishiki Otsutsuki has not returned with the fruit. Sooner or later, he will be discovered by the tribe, so it is normal for people to come at any time. It is really hard for Bai Sui to say anything about this. After all, he can't say that according to the plot, it will take more than 10 years for someone to come. There is really no way to explain it in detail. Besides, everyone has come, so it doesn't make any sense to explain it. Oh, by the way, that Kaguya Otsutsuki, as Bai Sui guessed, she just didn't want to confront the Otsutsuki clan, and asked Bai Sui not to tell her about her. In this regard, she promised to cooperate with some of Bai Sui's experiments, provide some information and knowledge, and protect the ninja world in secret when necessary. In this way, the current ninja world actually has the dual protection of Bai Sui and Kaguya Otsutsuki, which can basically avoid the embarrassing situation that the front line is in full swing, and the house is stolen in a blink of an eye. Although the people in the ninja world don't know that Kaguya Otsutsuki will protect them in secret, in their opinion, with Bai Sui, who is invincible in the ninja world, they can basically rest assured. Compared to waiting for the 2 Otsutsuki clan members to come to the door, Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama were more willing to defend against the enemy, so they took the initiative to lead people to intercept. However, considering what Kashiwasa said at the beginning, there might be another person spying in secret, so they only brought 6 of the remaining 12 people, namely Uchiha Izuna, Uchiha Yuri, Senju Tobirama, Hyuga Hisashi, Otsutsuki Kadayuki, and Uzumaki Masatake. The 8 of them surrounded the 2 Otsutsuki clan members. As for the remaining 4 people, Yamaoka Ribai, Fujiyama Kazuo, Kusaka Riki, and Teranishi Yasuji, they were managed by the brothers Otsutsuki Hamura and Otsutsuki Haguramo, and temporarily stationed on the moon. On the one hand, it was convenient to support Madara and others at any time, and on the other hand, it was also used to prevent the possible appearance of a third person. So for the ninja world, it was a milestone to officially contact with the Otsutsuki clan, which was carried out in full view of the public. Chapter 125 Sneak Attack. Led by Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama, a group of 8 people quickly blocked the 2 Otsutsuki clan members who didn't know they had been discovered. Seeing these 8 people who were obviously coming for him, the Otsutsuki clan member in the lead was obviously stunned, because these 8 people all appeared in the form of Otsutsuki for the convenience of fighting. But he didn't know any of these 8 people, and he didn't hear that the clan had sent other people here. Considering that the clan sent him and others here because the fruit of the sacred tree was not handed over in time. In other words, these 8 people were all catalyzed by the fruit of the sacred tree, and they were the most primitive Otsutsuki clan members, at least he thought so. At the same time, this also surprised him. What kind of planet can produce enough fruits for 8 people to become Otsutsuki clan members at one time? Seeing that everyone was coming aggressively, one of the tall and strong Otsutsuki clan members stepped forward to block another person behind him, and transmitted words with mental waves. Sir, it seems that they all have bad intentions. Why don't we retreat first and then wait for Lord Otsutsuki Arashiki to come, and then we will act together? Obviously, this Otsutsuki clan member who looked like a bodyguard also understood the situation on the scene, and quickly judged the strength of both sides, and felt that it would be better not to confront them head-on for the time being. However, the leader of the 2 men obviously did not think so. He waved his hand to let the tribe member who was blocking him step back. He stepped forward and said, "My name is Otsutsuki Momoshiki. Are you the natives of that planet? I don't know what kind of strength you little mice who stole the fruit of the sacred tree have. Are you worthy of the name of our Otsutsuki clan? Don't think that you have an absolute chance of winning just because you have more people. You don't understand at all what kind of strength our Otsutsuki clan has. Come on, attack me, show me your figures." The words of the short Otsutsuki Momoshiki obviously angered Uchiha Madara, the tsundere king of the ninja world. After all, this person had blatantly pretended to be in front of him, so naturally he had to teach him a lesson. In that case, we can show our strength to these 2 guests who have come from afar, so that some people will not be too arrogant. Yes, as Uchiha Madara finished speaking, the 6 people except Senju Hashirama surrounded the 2 Otsutsuki clan members from all angles and directions according to the plan planned before the war. As for Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara, they will attack the 2 from the front. After all, they have not done nothing in the past 50 years. With the improvement of various systems in the ninja world, their strength has also risen. In some aspects, they have even surpassed the 2 brothers Otsutsuki Haguramo and Otsutsuki Hamura, becoming the highest combat power in the ninja world, second only to Kashiwaho. After all, the 2 can now be said to be in their ultimate state. Not only do they have the abilities of the Otsutsuki clan themselves, but they also have the unique fairy arts system in the ninja world. In addition, there are all kinds of messy little tricks, such as yin-yang arts, curses, and summoning arts. Apart from other things, what Kashiwasa learned from Kaguya Otsutsuki was that at least this Susanoo was the unique ability that the bloodline of their Otsutsuki clan showed after coming to the ninja world. However, Susanoo was composed entirely of chakra and unified power. Although it was huge in size, it was not actually of much use to the Otsutsuki clan, because they could easily absorb the chakra in it, but later, after the joint deduction of all the masters in the ninja world, they successfully realized the operation of adding Senjutsu chakra to Susanoo. Yes, now the newly released Susanoo is covered with a large amount of Senjutsu chakra on the outermost side, so that the Otsutsuki clan can effectively avoid absorbing chakra. And according to Kaguya Otsutsuki's narration, the reason why the Otsutsuki clan does not use the so-called ninjutsu, that is, the variant release of chakra energy. It is entirely because they can easily absorb chakra, which makes all these ninjutsu ineffective. In the Otsutsuki clan, these energies are more often used directly to promote their respective talents, because most of these talents cannot be directly absorbed. This has prompted the Otsutsuki clan to pay more attention to their talents and ignore the application of chakra energy. This may be an important point for the future ninja world to counterattack the Otsutsuki clan. Because the ninja world has now developed fairy chakra that cannot be immediately absorbed by the Otsutsuki clan, and is gradually promoting it with all its heart, now nearly 40% of the ninjas in the ninja world can use fairy arts. Although the progress of each fairy art is different, the speed and power of use are also different, and most of them cannot be used in actual combat. It is a good start after all. After all, compared with a previous era when only a few people could use it, this is already a great improvement. Perhaps it may be felt that it is time-consuming and laborious to promote it among ordinary ninjas, but if it is not so, it will not be able to gather the wisdom of the people, and it will be more difficult to promote the development of the fairy art system. Seeing that Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama wanted to fight them head-on, the leader, Otsutsuki Momoshiki, obviously laughed at them and said to his servants, "It seems that they are very brave. In this case, Kinshiki, you go up and play with them. Remember to teach these little mice a lesson, so that they will remember to be more respectful when they see people from his Otsutsuki clan in the future." "Yes, my lord." Otsutsuki Kinshiki followed Otsutsuki Momoshiki's orders meticulously, and rushed straight to the direction where the two were without saying a word. This Otsutsuki Kinshiki has pale skin and gray-white long hair, no eyebrows, and a hard horn on his head that tilts upward to the upper left corner. He wears a white robe, which covers the right side of his face, revealing only his left face. However, on this left face, there is no samsara eye, but only a Byakugan. He is more than 2 meters tall and has a very huge body. He wears a karate uniform and a pair of gloves. It is obvious that he is a close combat character. And there was a red ring floating behind him. Although it was not known what the ring was for, Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama felt a hint of danger when they saw it. Since everyone was in the void, although Otsutsuki Kinshiki's sprint was very fast, it still seemed so slow in this vast universe. Which gave Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama enough time to prepare. Speaking of fighting in this universe, it was also a new thing for the two of them. Although they had practiced before, it was not a life and death battle after all, so it was always a little short of the point. So today, the two elderly people who were already over 80 years old seemed particularly excited, because such an opponent was really difficult. Both of them were unwilling to give up the opportunity to fight. After a simple exchange of glances, neither of them could convince the other, so they decided to just attack together and face the Otsutsuki Kinshiki who was rushing. Otsutsuki Kinshiki obviously didn't expect the two to have such a high desire to fight, but he would not give up such a good opportunity. When the three of them were close to about 1 kilometer away, this Otsutsuki Kinshiki suddenly activated his Byakugan and used his unique Byakugan space-time ninjutsu. This ability is very similar to Uchiha Obito's ability to become a virtual body, which can make himself virtual and can travel back and forth between the real space and the alien space. As for this performance, in the eyes of everyone, this Otsutsuki Kinshiki suddenly disappeared during the journey, and when he appeared again, he was already behind Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama. Then the Otsutsuki Kinshiki injected his own chakra into the red ring behind him. This red ring was his unique ninja tool inherited from his ancestors, the Wave God. This Wave God can create a variety of different weapons through chakra. Not only are there a large number of them, but each one has the great power to split the sky and the earth if it is fully activated. After that, the Otsutsuki Kinshiki, along with the ninja tools created by the red ring behind him, flew to the backs of Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara. However, he underestimated these two leaders in the ninja world. The two understood the other party's intentions the moment Otsutsuki Kinshiki disappeared. Although they didn't know where he would appear, they were already prepared and focused most of their attention on their backs, heads and feet. After all, the other party disappeared in this way, obviously wanting to launch a sneak attack. In this vast universe, in addition to their backs, that is, heads and feet, it is even more difficult to guard against. Relying on their own experience, the two of them immediately relaxed on the outside and tightened on the inside. On the surface, they were still looking for the figure of the Otsutsuki Kinshiki who had been lost in front of them, but in fact, They had already prepared to counterattack the moment the other party appeared. Super Tensei Tensei, Super Shinra Tensei, the two of them, one in front and one behind, used the innate abilities of the Samsara Eye in a tacit understanding. First, they used super strong gravity to attract Otsutsuki Kinshiki to fly in the direction of the two people, and then used even stronger repulsion to attack him. After taking the combined attraction and repulsion attacks of Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara, Otsutsuki Kinshiki flew backwards at a faster speed than when he came. In space, due to the lack of sufficient friction, Otsutsuki Kinshiki flew a very long distance. Otsutsuki Momoshiki, who was far away, was also slightly surprised when he saw the fighting performance of Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara. After all, he did not expect that the two could use the Samsara Eye of the Otsutsuki clan so skillfully. And the cooperation between the two was also very perfect, which not only showed the extremely high fighting quality of the two, but also reflected the fighting tacit understanding between the two. Such performance made Otsutsuki Momoshiki frown, because he had already judged that his servant Otsutsuki Kinshiki was definitely not the opponent of these two people. Although there was only one round of real fighting, the two were obviously natural fighters. They were masters among masters in terms of both combat literacy and their own strength. On the other hand, although Otsutsuki Kinshiki had always been by his side and had experienced many battles, he knew that Otsutsuki Kinshiki relied more on his own talents to crush those ants with low strength. Compared with the two of them, he lacked experience in fighting with opponents of the same level, and was slightly inferior to the two in strength. With such observations, Otsutsuki Momoshiki knew that he could no longer sit and wait for death, otherwise once the two of them solved his servants and then joined forces to deal with him, it would also be troublesome for him. So Otsutsuki Momoshiki decided to observe the situation at all times in the next battle. Once he found a note where he could intervene, he would step forward to sneak attack the two. After all, there were still people guarding in other directions. In comparison, the weakest point in defense is the front where Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama are, because as the two fight, the direction they are guarding will have various weak points in defense. Once his sneak attack succeeds, he can temporarily leave here with Otsutsuki Kinshiki, and then he will go to find Otsutsuki Urashiki, and join forces with the three of them to attack the planet again. In fact, to put it bluntly, he already knows that if the two of them fight hard, there is absolutely no chance of winning. The greater possibility of staying here is that he will be like Otsutsuki Ishiki, and there will be no news from then on. After a tumble, Otsutsuki Kinshiki finally stabilized his body. At this time, the four people are standing with Otsutsuki Kinshiki and Otsutsuki Momoshiki sandwiching Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara in the middle, and compared to the direction of the earth, Otsutsuki Kinshiki is closer. So Hashirama, Senju and Madara Uchiha were not afraid that Kinshiki Otsutsuki would escape. After all, once he ran towards the earth, there were still many people waiting for them there. The only thing they were worried about now was whether Momoshiki Otsutsuki would attack them. So they simply separated. Hashirama Senju went to Kinshiki Otsutsuki, and Madara Uchiha flew to Momoshiki Otsutsuki. Seeing this, Momoshiki Otsutsuki was very happy, because in his opinion, the two were strong in their cooperation with each other, and once they separated, their strength would inevitably be greatly damaged. In this way, he had the possibility of gradually defeating them, and then he might be able to take them hostages in turn. No. They should be directly refined into chakra pills, and then all 8 people would be killed here in one fell swoop, and then all the energy of the entire planet would fall into their hands. Today is May Day. I wish you all a happy holiday, and I will add 4K words to express my feelings. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.